Let's do the damn thing.
Oh, you know what time it is. It's time to take it to the Birdland. It's about to go down. Hope y'all ready. Yeah, let's go. Come and roll with me to the Birdland. Friends got to giving you the word, man. Any other BS is absurd, man. Sports talking, they give it to you firsthand. They can talk Terps, they can talk O's. Yeah, they both lit. That's how it goes. Baltimore squad, Ravens and Poe. Better tune in. Here gonna show. Birdland, Birdland, Birdland. BS. Birdland, Birdland, Birdland. BS.
It's all about that BS, baby.
Yeah, you did it.
It was very creepy.
He brought it back.
That takes the cake of the creepiest intros ever. What's up, BSers? When I got social distance from Scott here for a couple minutes. Fred, Scott, James, and Ryan in the studio tonight as Drew is dealing with a sick kiddo, so he is going to be out of the studio. But I think he's in the chat room. I think I saw him in there already, of course.
He's bragging already.
Yeah. Pick to click. Yes, we know, Drew. You missed it by 1 point.
It wasn't a true pick to click, but it was a pick to click.
Good job. Man, we got a lot to cover on this week's show. Obviously, Ravens come up just short in Cleveland in an impressive comeback effort led by Tyler Huntley after Lamar goes down.
Yeah, Lamar going down. He's dealing with that ankle injury. As we heard, it's not a high ankle sprain. It's just an ankle sprain. We'll talk about that more later. And the Packers are coming to town. Can Huntley do the unthinkable if needed? We're going to get into that. It's an interesting discussion that's going on throughout social media.
Yeah, I don't know how much of a debate that'll be, but we'll talk about it. Terps Hoops look to move past the debates about Turg's departure by giving their interim head coach his first win with an upset over a top 20 ranked team. The football squad gives out end-of-season awards, so we got a lot to cover with that, and breaking news on a big commitment.
Yeah, excited to hear you guys talk about that.
Yeah.
And in this week's rundown, we're talking Heisman winners, a college hoops legend, a UFC upset, and in the 2-minute warning, a huge deal that went down this week in the sports world, along with trouble in paradise in Jacksonville, maybe?
Yeah, well, it's always trouble in paradise in Jacksonville. That's fucking Jacksonville. Get out of here. Before we do get started with too much, though, I do want to remind you about that team over at MD Crash. Well, they've expanded. More lawyers handling much broader spectrum of cases now, still handling all your auto accident and injuries, of course. But now the team at Bowers, Hassan, and Herndon can help you with family laws issues from divorce, custody, to child support, etc. Even criminal cases from traffic tickets to homicide. Call now or text 667-220-6500 for any of your needs. Update that MD Crash number one more time, 667-220-6500. Call or text anytime to get the team at Bowers, Hassan, and Herndon on the case for you.
Next time I get a traffic ticket, I might need to call them and you two know how I drive.
You should have it on speed dial.
Yeah, I don't know how many times you have to do that read before I'd stop chuckling at homicide. I don't know. It's going to take a while.
It started as murder, and I felt like homicide was the better word than murder.
Well, but they could also handle manslaughter.
And mind you, murder was the word chosen by them, not me. I didn't write that in there.
Hey, but you know what that means? That means they're good lawyers.
Yeah, that's right. That's
you
true.
can murder people, we can get you off, no problem. No problem.
It's going to be an awkward transition, man. Before we get...
way to make it awkward.
The Ravens got murdered.
No, not that.
That's not the transition.
No. Before we actually talk about Ravens, man, got to take a second to remember longtime Broncos receiver Demaryius Thomas, who unexpectedly passed away on Friday at the age of 33. Details haven't come out yet. I mean, there's been
just
some
found dead in his home. Unfortunately, that's all that's come out so far.
They said issue like cardiac arrest type thing, but again, nothing like autopsy.
Something about a seizure he probably had in the shower.
Right.
Yeah.
Could be. I don't know if you got a chance to see this or not during the pregame for the Broncos and the Lions game. It was a pretty touching moment, man. The Broncos started on offense with only 10 players. Specifically no ex-receiver in his honor. And they had the 88 flashing on the Jumbotron behind him. It was cool, too, because, obviously the Broncos took the delay of game penalty there. And the Lions ended up declining the penalty out of respect for them. And, yeah, man, crowd with the ovation, even the Lions players, the ovation. It was a touching ceremony and recognition.
The video of that too, because you hear the linebacker, I forget who it was. You hear him go, no. Like you hear him talking to the team, like they're taking it, just back off.
Right.
Like they knew what was happening and he knew it was happening. So good on them to do that. And you know, you talk about touching moments in that situation. How about the chills that the last touchdown of the game was a 14-play, 88-yard drive.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean,
There's sometimes people, it's just coincidence. Sometimes it just happens, and it doesn't always feel like coincidence.
I was just about to say, just like when Jordan McNair, the first game of that season on the next year, 79-0 win. I think it was over Howard, man. And obviously McNair wore 79. It's
well, the first game of the year was against Texas, where they did the very similar ceremony. They left the man off the field.
Right.
The second game of the year was against Howard. 79-0.
First home game, 79-0. Yeah. So it's terrible tragedy. Anything that you ever heard about Demarius was just how high character of a guy he was. Not only a great football player, but everything he did off the field in his community with the kids. Just seemed like a class act. Even Peyton Manning, I mean, had nothing but
well respected throughout that entire organization.
Yeah, so he's definitely going to be missed for sure.
Even when he went over, I think he went to the Patriots. I think if I remember correctly, he ended his career with the Patriots.
He had a couple stints with I think he had with the Patriots, with the Jets. I think that might have been.
I think it was just those three, but yeah. So sad to see that news, and as more news comes out, we'll probably talk about it. But let's get into the not so pleasant news of the game. That was the 24-22 loss that didn't feel that way, but the Ravens really struggled, and they're trying to make some moves now because they had injuries piling up, and they're trying to help themselves after this game. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, as I say, before we actually dive into the game itself, some of the latest news is the Ravens have signed veteran safety Tony Jefferson, former Raven, to the practice squad. This is a move I think a lot of fans like. Just because Tony Jefferson was another guy, high character guy, well respected.
Did a lot for the community. Just a likable guy. How much of an impact is he going to have on the field remains to be seen. Obviously, he's being signed again to the practice squad. He's a safety that obviously at his time here, he had an ACL injury, and then the Ravens decided not to sign him back to a contract after that ACL injury. He got a short stint with the 49ers a few weeks ago, never really amounted to anything there. So he's been out of the league for a good amount of time now at this point. So temper your expectations of him coming in and making an immediate impact, but it's a depth piece, and it's somebody that comes in that knows the system, he's familiar with the system, and he's also, like I said, a high character guy, a locker room guy, which I think will do well. Go ahead, James.
Just want to say about Jefferson, it was great to bring him in.
Yeah.
He can't cover, but he can sure as hell tackle, though.
That is true. He's definitely a sure tackler. He's more of a, if you don't remember, he's more of a box safety than he is a free safety.
Yeah.
So you're going to see him in the box. He's going to definitely be up on the line, making tackles.
Yeah, and I know that there's debate of whether, is he going to play in this game? Is there going to be, they liked what they saw. If you listen to John Harbaugh's press conference yesterday, he was very impressed with the shape that he was in. I think the other thing that you didn't really mention is the familiarity. Yeah. Right. That is a big cog as to what's happening here. Whether he comes in and plays safety and somebody else shifts into a dual cornerback role, or they go with an additional safety out there and play a little bit more zone coverage to help out, and he's up a little bit more, maybe taken away from the tight ends. Who knows how they're going to use him? But I mean, if anybody is going to be able to use a guy like Tony Jefferson, it's Wink. He's going to find a way to work him into the system. It might take a week or two, but they're also bringing him in, I think, for the long stretch as depth. If you're really, truly making a playoff run, you need depth.
You absolutely do, especially with all the injuries that they've had. And you got a rookie out there in Brandon Stevens, who's out there playing safety right now because of the injury to Deshaun Elliott. So from a leadership standpoint, from an experience standpoint, it's just another set of eyes and another brain to pick for Brandon Stevens. So I think it's a good signing for the Ravens. Yeah. Again, temper your expectations. It might be a few weeks before you see him actually out there in game time. So,
well, and you talked about injuries, right? Injuries in this game and really on this season just continue to pile up. We'll save the big one for last.
Yeah.
But I think one of the early ones that it was like, oh shit, you're worried about what this is going to do to the run game was Calais Campbell going down in the first quarter. You thought maybe he was going to come back. He went to the back. He went in the blue tent, went to the back, came back out, had his helmet on, had his stuff on. I think he went out for a series maybe, and then it was just kind of not a whole lot after that. We really didn't see much more of him.
Fortunately, it doesn't sound like it's anything too serious or anything that John Harbaugh and the team's concerned about. It's a soft tissue injury. The problem with that is you just don't know how long it's going to linger. Calais Campbell is at the point now where, like, this is probably his last go. So I feel like if Calais Campbell can play, he will play.
Yeah.
And to your point, he's a big cog on that defensive line. But, I've been fairly happy, even in the time that Calais Campbell hasn't been out there, how well this defensive line has done, especially against the run game.
Yeah, they've definitely done well. The thing that hurts them in this game as well, on the defensive side of the ball, Jimmy Smith being out in this game. Now, it wasn't an injury here. He was actually spending time, was personally spending time with his pregnant wife. So they're expecting soon. Don't know, full details. Maybe something happened. He just wanted to be with her or whatever it was. But Jimmy Smith also isn't the type of guy to just walk away. So for those that are speculating, because I don't believe they've made an announcement that they had the child.
Not that I've seen.
But, look, respect the guy. Family comes first. I don't care what you do. Right. Family comes first. We've always said that with this, right? Family always comes first. Yeah. We've had to, adjust shows, cancel shows. These guys, they're paid millions of dollars, but at the same time, they deal with the same stuff that we do on an everyday basis, and they don't get to be with their families every week. They got to travel every week. So for these guys, if he needed it, and he needed that mentally, physically, whatever it may have been, good on him. It sucks that he wasn't out there. We felt it, but
yeah, I mean, look. Jimmy Smith, you never want to lose him, especially it was just bad timing of the situation.
Yeah.
You just lost Marlon Humphrey for the year. You're going up against, a division rival. You got Anthony Averett out there as your cornerback 1. You got Chris Westry, who got toasted in Chicago as your cornerback 2. You never want to lose Jimmy Smith, but, again, respect to whatever decision he needed to make, to take care of his wife and potential kid. I thought the biggest injury going into this game, before the Lamar injury we're going to talk about, but going into this game, not having Pat Ricard out there, I think was probably the most significant.
Late scratch, too.
Yeah, this was a surprise. I didn't realize that he was hurt in this one, but dealing with a knee injury as well.
Did you see the videos of him pregame?
I did not.
There was video of him going around pregame. He looked awkward.
Did he?
He looked awkward. It was him doing some runs. There was a video of him and a video of Boyle, and both of them, you could tell something was wrong. Something was off.
Yeah, when you're already dealing with offensive line issues and the formations that they run with Ricard out there as your lead blocker and whatnot, like you want him out there. And you ask Mark Andrews to do a lot of that lead blocking. He's not the guy for that. No. And you saw that a little bit in this game. But fortunately, again, the issue doesn't sound too serious.
I
with
think they
Ricard.
did an MRI.
Harbaugh is hopeful that he'll be back for this week. But yeah, so that leads to the game.
Well, there was one other injury that happened during the game, which nobody in this room is necessarily crying about.
Well, you never want to see anybody get hurt.
No, but Sammy Watkins came up limping and is now considered day-to-day as his knee was bothering him. Harbaugh said, he felt like he couldn't go.
Let's go month to month.
Yeah, so I like that. We'll talk about what the results of that were on the offensive side, but we got to get to the big one.
Yeah.
This one, we're watching the game, and let's be honest, when this happened, all of us started to get ready to throw in the towel.
Oh, yeah, your butthole probably puckered just as much as everybody else is out there in Raven Flock Nation did. You never want to see Lamar go down, especially be put on a cart and get wheeled back to the X-ray room or wherever it is that he ended up going. I've always attributed Lamar to Gumby. Like he seems like he's the kind of guy that
can
just
move any which way.
He can't get hurt. His body can get contorted in all kinds of different directions, and he bounces right back. So to see him sitting on the turf like that, it's scary. But fortunately enough, when one guy goes down, it is next man up, and that's always been the mentality of this team. Tyler Huntley, who got his first start in Chicago, like we mentioned, and looked pretty decent. I'll tell you, for coming off the bench unprepared, did a damn good job in this game. Almost led the unthinkable comeback in this game because they were down 24-3 before he came in.
Yeah, I did want to talk about the Lamar injury for a quick second because they're saying, obviously, when he initially went to the sideline, it was the butt puckered, right?
Yeah.
when they put him on the cart, it was, oh, shit. Because the wording that they were saying was he had to be helped onto the cart.
Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed on him because for being a sprained ankle, him getting the cart, it's a little.
That could have been a team decision, though, and not a
I
Lamar
hope so
decision.
because everybody else that gets a sprained ankle, they're getting carried by like two of the fucking biggest guys there off the field, and this guy's getting the cart bringing him over. I'm like, is that a
Worth
broken
$1 billion.
ankle?
Yeah, I was about to say, you're talking about your future $40 million a year man.
I don't know about that, Ryan. That ain't no $40 million to you.
Somebody's future $40 million.
Ain't your $40 million. It's not my $40 million.
Our
either.
$40 million plus a year quarterback.
I think
you're
we
going to
just
take
got a
every
discount.
precaution you possibly can.
Yeah, and I think, to James's point, I think that's the some of the chirping that's going on Twitter is that a lot of people are curious because it comes out today or yesterday that it's just an ankle sprain. It wasn't a high ankle sprain. There was no fracture. So people are kind of like, okay, well, wait a second. Why did he need so much help to the cart? Right? If it's just an ankle sprain, we've all had ankle sprains. They can be rough, but it's never so much that you need help to get in a cart.
Yeah, I mean,
We don't know what he's going through, but I think that's where people are kind of looking at it and questioning it and saying, well, if it wasn't so bad, why do you need it? But that's where I think, to your point, you need to look at it from a larger perspective. They may have said you're going to get helped onto the cart whether you like it or not, because you're not going to slip on the. He slipped last week on a goddamn pylon or the down marker, right? You don't want him slipping on a cable or something on that ankle as he's trying to walk.
Again,
You lift him up, you put him on there and say, call it a day.
I think people are blowing that out of proportion. Again, the team's going to do everything that they probably can, overcompensate for, just making sure that he gets back and gets the proper care and all that stuff. It's nothing big there.
Go ahead, Ryan.
That injury looked like an Achilles the second it happened.
It did.
Because
It did. And that was
the way they
probably their
landed-
initial fear.
Yeah, the way they landed, it wasn't really that the ankle turned at all. It was like the ankle hyperextended.
Right.
And
Right.
so you're more about that ligament than anything else. And so I immediately thought that could be like almost career-ending for a guy like him, where all his talent comes from the
Relies
shiftiness,
on
comes
his
from the
legs.
explosiveness.
Yeah.
That Achilles could be it for somebody like that.
Could save money.
Yeah, I mean, I heard a couple guys talking about it, on the so-called experts shows, right? That they were talking about like how even a pocket quarterback having an injury like that and how that affects them being able to plant your foot, especially your low foot like that.
It wasn't like he did this on a run. He was on a rollout, right? He was rolling out and throwing it. He gets to Andrews. It wasn't anything. It wasn't anything that he was going crazy with his runs or anything. But when you talk about him, let's talk about before we talk about Huntley, because obviously Huntley comes into this game. Let's talk about what Lamar did or didn't do in this game.
I'll be honest with you, man. This was, for me, a pretty underwhelming win for the Browns, if you ask me. You got 3 weeks to prepare for the Ravens, because they play the Ravens 2 weeks ago. They got the bye, and then they play us again. They started out the gate 24-3. Lamar in the offense got off to a very slow start, but that's where things just kind of ended in this game, man. A valiant effort, in my opinion, by Huntley, Bateman, Andrews, the defense in the second half. They all played up to, and above what you'd expect for a team in this circumstances with all the injuries, and then your leader, like Lamar, goes down, man. You'd think, and even Andrews said in his post-game press conference, a lot of teams would fold. When that happened, and they didn't. They stepped up and damn near pulled it off.
Yeah, I mean, and credit to Huntley too. With that offensive line was not helping him, and he felt. I think we saw that it's not just the style play that Lamar has. Even with Huntley under center, he still had the same struggles. I mean, you think about it, the offensive line, in my opinion, makes a difference in this game, because if they can do something to block Garrett for an extra half a second. Villanueva had a hard time all night or all day.
All season.
All season. But all day with Myles Garrett, and he got to him and got the strip sack TD, right? So it's that offensive line is really hurting, and you see what Huntley's able to do. Let's get into what he was able to do with this. One of the biggest things that everybody's talking about is the 14-yard run. If you didn't watch the game, you're probably going, why are we talking about a 14-yard run? Probably because he ran 40-plus yards in that 14-yard run.
Yeah.
It was a Lamar-esque run. It was a Lamar-esque scramble, finding the hole, bounce outside, make a man miss. It worked. We saw that he has the ability to do that.
Yeah, it was an absolutely insane scramble. I mean, he made Myles Garrett, or no, he looked Jadeveon Clowney, made him look silly, made a couple other guys look silly. It was very much a Lamar-esque run. And we've all said that he's a very similar backup, and that's why having a guy like Huntley makes so much sense, and he's so valuable to this team. But man, it was a night and day difference when he came into this game. Because when Lamar was in there, right, first 4 drives, they punted on all 4 drives with Lamar under center. Conservative offense, and they weren't taking their shots downfield. To me, again, we talk about Lamar and the struggles that he's had and what's the reasoning behind it. To me, it really all boils down to lack of confidence, and everything else falls into place because of that
lack of confidence. Maybe that's maybe the confidence is leading to the vision. Even when Sammy Watkins went down, we didn't see him go to Bateman. Right. Yeah. We'll talk about in a second what Huntley did with Bateman, but he really didn't use Bateman in the first half at all while he was in there.
Right. He didn't use Bateman at all, and that's been a problem. And it's not just in this game. He hasn't used Bateman really for the last couple of weeks, right? And we were talking about that. Well, you get Huntley out there. It took him a couple of drives, to get his feet wet and to get comfortable. And you could see, like you said, he needs a little bit better awareness. The strip sack fumble that was very costly in this game. But to me, he played with confidence. He played calm. He took his shots downfield. Looked really good to me throwing outside the numbers. He obviously had a couple of big plays to Bateman on the left side. He just missed Hollywood on the right side on a couple of plays.
He missed Hollywood deep on 2 plays. That was maybe 2 yards. And in all reality, I don't think Hollywood went full speed. I think if Hollywood was going full speed, I think he catches that. But we didn't see him on those 2 throws. It didn't seem to me from the shots that they were giving us that he hit that extra
had to make
gear.
Sure Lamar was going to get paid.
Yeah, right.
Make sure you can't try to catch those balls.
He didn't hit that extra gear. He didn't hit that extra gear that we've seen him hit at times to go get the ball.
Yeah, right? We didn't see the all-out extension like he had in Denver.
No, he may not have been able to get it, but yeah, no, it definitely the shots with Hollywood. He found Andrews too, right? 11 receptions, 115 yards with a TD, and the big thing about Andrews here. Yards after the catch and yards after contact. He had a catch that he turned a 10-yard catch into almost a 30-yarder because he carried guys almost 10 yards.
Yeah, Mark Andrews was playing big boy football against the Browns.
I'm sorry, he almost carried it 19 yards if I remember.
Yeah, he held his own as to why he's paid the money that he's paid in that game for sure. He was their best target out there, and he left it all on the field. He put every ounce of effort and strength that he could. But again, getting back to Huntley, man, what I really liked about his play, like you said, taking the shots, going to Bateman, using Bateman as a weapon, right? Because this is a first-round draft pick wide receiver, right, that has shown talent. In his first 3 or 4 games, everything that he was catching was a chain mover, right? We saw amazing catches, one-handed catches that no other receiver on this team is going to make, but then it just kind of fell off. They just stopped using him for whatever reason. You get Huntley in there, he goes after him, Bateman starts building confidence, and he has a really, really big game in this game. And Huntley, to show the kahunas, to be able to not only take just the shots down the field, but to do it on a 4th and 6.
Yeah.
And go to your rookie wide receiver and let him go up there and make a play. And he did. He made a hell of a play on that. Goes to show you that, Huntley's playing confident.
Well, and it also goes to show you the mentality of this team. Right? The fact that he was playing well enough that Harbaugh gave the green light on 4th and 6 to go for it.
Right.
Because he felt like this kid's got a chance to give us a shot.
Right.
Right. And so it just goes to the overall, we've seen the next man up thing, right? That's where the Sammy Watkins injury comes into play. Because if Sammy Watkins doesn't go down, I don't know that we see Bateman in there as much as we did.
No, we probably don't.
He probably gets 2 touches instead of 7.
Yeah, and a lot of those outside routes, those X-receiver routes are going to be ran by Watkins out there. So, it's kind of a blessing in disguise that, Bateman did get the opportunities, and Harbaugh was very complimentary of him after the game. So hopefully that'll lead to more opportunities leading forward.
So I want to ask a question on this, right? Because this is... There's continued issues in the secondary with communication. The issues running down the clock to the last second on offense, we definitely saw it in that first half. It started like the first 4 plays, they got up to the line quick. It was like, oh, they're up to the line with 20 seconds left? Oh, shit. Oh, all right, what are they going to do here?
Yeah.
And then it just fell back until something else happened. So here's my question to you. Coaching problem? Player problem? Where does the blame fall here?
I'm not a guy, and I say this all the time, I'm not a guy that's out there pounding the pavement that the Ravens need to fire Greg Roman or the Ravens need to fire Wink, and I'm actually adverse to that on both sides. But I have multiple times called the coaches out when they need to be called out, and this is a continued issue. The issues with communications in the secondary, it doesn't just fall on one person. It's fallen on multiple guys in the secondary. That's a preparation issue. That falls on coaching.
Yeah.
The issues with getting up to the line and getting the ball snapped with more than 1 second left on the clock, that's a continued issue. That's coaching. But what's funny is that issue seemed to go away when Huntley was out there. And so that is an issue either with communication to Lamar or Lamar being able to communicate to his guys and be able to get up to the line on time. But still, regardless if that falls on Lamar, it's been an issue for a while now that the coaching needs to
so that it starts to fall in run. Because the other factor that we don't know, right? We don't know when Huntley's in the game. Is there a more defined playbook with Huntley in the game, right? We don't know. That's something that we can't speak to. If there's, if we're doing 10 plays and when Huntley's in there, is it 5? Right? Is there 5 looks versus 10 looks? Who knows? But I think it's an interesting thing that you're bringing up because a lot of people will start to blame the players. Oh, he took a bad angle. Oh, he was not in his spot. But to your point, these are coachable moments.
Yeah.
I can tell you if this is happening in a game, it's happened in practice.
It has to be. Like, again, regardless, and that was the argument that I saw on Twitter was, well, these are a lot of guys that don't see a whole lot of game action. These guys aren't just sitting in a closet somewhere.
These guys prepare your defense.
They're out there practicing every week underneath the same coaches, under the similar circumstances in practice. This is a total preparation thing. Again, if it was isolated to like 1 or 2 weeks, then I could be like, all right, it was just a miscommunication. It happens. It's a learning thing. This has been going on week after week for the entire year. This falls on coaching and not having a
So interesting statement that Craig says, Lamar doesn't trust the O-line, and that's why he keeps making mistakes. And Huntley just said, screw it, throw here. And look,
that's a big part of it.
That could be part of it, is Huntley hasn't had the time to be with that first string offensive line and spend the time with them and go, oh shit, this is on me because I can't find it. But here's the deal. He did step up. The whole thing of the awareness with the pass on him where it's the strip sack.
Yeah.
Yes. Coaching awareness. That's also on Villanueva, right? This is an experienced lineman going in against an experienced defensive man that you know what he's going to do. You got to keep him away. But under that same token, the coaching, what they should do this week is go back and look at the film and go, hey, when you're feeling that pressure, when you can't see Alejandro anymore, you step up. If he steps up on that play, we're not talking about a strip sack here. And maybe we're talking about a win. Who knows? Because that could be the difference in this game. But overall, I think you have to look at the coaching in this, and you have to point it in their direction.
So getting to the Lamar comment, though, where he's saying Lamar doesn't trust the O-line, and that's why he keeps making mistakes. I do think that the O-line is obviously a big part in it, right?
Yeah.
But what that's created doubt in Lamar's mind, and he doesn't trust what he's seeing on the field. And the difference between making a play, getting sacked, throwing an incomplete pass, we're talking milliseconds. You got to see what you see, make your read, and make your decision and make your throw. And he doesn't have that confidence, and he's questioning everything. To Drew's point, I saw it in the chat room. Huntley's playing with house money. Huntley's going out there. I don't think the team has a whole lot of expectations for him. And you know what? At the end of the day, this is his shot to shine. So he's going to take the chances, and he's going to go out there and try to prove himself that he's valuable, right? And he's doing that. Lamar, I think, if he can just get into a rhythm early in the game, which has been the struggle, right? This team hasn't scored many points in the first quarter. I think last time they scored 10 points in the first half was like 4 or 5 weeks ago. It's been a while. They got to start scoring. They got to get him in a rhythm early. and it just hasn't happened.
Maybe some more end arounds with Duvernay. We saw it again in this game. It wasn't a jet sweep; it was an end around this time.
I'm just talking, just even like short, quick routes. Get his confidence going that he can get the ball moving. Because he didn't do it in this game.
If he can do that, that can, if he can extend, we've talked about time of possession, and sometimes they are good at time possessions, but it's usually later in the second half. The first half, if they can work on time of possession and score out of it and work the ball downfield, it works because this defense, yet again, struggles early as well. They actually nailed it down the second half pretty well.
Oh, they played a great game in the second half. And honestly, when you look at the total body of work, they played a very good game. Yes, they struggled early. They had the one communication issue that led to the big play to Donovan Peoples-Jones down the field. But outside of that, when you look at the stats, 0 sacks, 2 tackles for a loss, 1 quarterback hit, nothing jumps off the table there is good, right? But they only really gave up 14 points on defense because of the strip sack that led to that was the touchdown, really. They only gave up 14 points on defense, held Baker to 190 yards through the air. But more importantly,
oh yeah, this is the big deal.
More importantly, you shut down Nick Chubb yet again. And let me put this into perspective. If I asked you if the Ravens could hold him to 25 carries and 75 yards, would you take that every game against Nick Chubb? That's the reason I'm asking it. I see your eyes. If I told you could hold him to 25 carries for 75 yards, would you take that every game?
Take that every game
against Nick Chubb. You would, right?
No, my fantasy team lost both games, both weeks.
Oh, stop whining about your fantasy. Jesus Christ.
You would take that every game, correct?
Pat McAfee.
You would take that every game.
I'd take it 100%.
That's what he's done against us combined this year. Not just this game. That's what he's done combined in 2 games. This is a guy who was one of the best running backs in the league and had tore us apart in past years where we didn't have these injuries on defense when we were a much healthier defense.
75 per rush.
Right.
And that's
a couple of times.
That's the thing that you're looking at, right? Because in this game, 17 carries, 59 yards.
Yeah.
Right? You also had Kareem Hunt. You knocked him out of this game, and he had 2 carries for only 5 yards. It really just works out. What we were able to do was stuff them. I mean, their best runner in a sense of per average yards per carry was Johnson.
Yeah.
But he only had 4 carries.
He was only out there for a couple of plays, but he looks good too. But here's the thing. Again, there's no sacks in this game, and that's a problem, right? Where's Owe? Owe was, a problem early on in the year, but we're not seeing him get back there and get to the quarterback now. Is he hitting that rookie wall? What's happening there? But again, to hold Nick Chubb to what was it, 56 yards, to hold Baker Mayfield to 190 yards through the air, when you have Anthony Averett and Chris Westry as cornerback 1 and quarterback 2 out there, it's pretty impressive. To that point, Anthony Averett, finally on the board, gets the first interception for the team in what, 6 weeks?
Yeah, 6 weeks. With 6 minutes left in the first half, he comes up with that first interception, and he read it perfectly.
Yeah.
It was perfect timing, took it. I thought he was going to take it to the house.
Yeah.
The way that he was running it, because he caught it in stride, no hesitation. It was a thing of beauty.
And we talk Chris Westry. Let me just say here for a second, if you were paying attention to that game, the only negative when you look at the box score on Chris Westry's game was that he had a pass interference call called against him, which was complete horse shit.
We'll talk about that in a second.
Complete horse shit. Chris Westry played a hell of a game in this game.
Brandon Stevens had an opportunity as well with an interception twice in the same play and missed it.
Never seen a secondary drop as many picks in one season as this team.
That's why they play defense.
Yeah. I mean, it's just bizarre to me. Like, I've just never seen a defense drop so many picks, and that's why our turnover differential is so bad.
But here's a thing of note, right? This defense, as much as struggles that we see, right? We are, in a sense, being a little nitpicky on some
100%, yeah.
Because this defense hasn't allowed more than 20 points in 5 consecutive games.
Yep. Considering all the injuries and everything that they're having, you can't expect more out of this defense. The defense is playing.
And you may be scratching your head going, they won 24. Remember, 7 points of that was the defense.
Offense.
No, I'm saying was the Browns defense scoring, right? So, yeah, this defense has really stepped up. But you brought it up. This is going to be a long-winded one, so let's get into it. The refs, yet again, an issue in this game. The first one, I'll let you sound off on it. The BS Westry call.
I mean, there's really nothing to sound off on it. If you have two eyes and you were watching the play, it was complete bullshit. I mean, his eyes, speaking of eyes, were completely back, watching the quarterback, watching the ball, and the receiver has his arm draped and wrapped around Westry. Nothing about Westry was wrong on the play. The person that threw the flag was completely in the wrong, and that's where I feel like the NFL could take the next step in replay. You know, again, you only have so many times to challenge things, but that's 100% a play that was impactful in this game, because after that pass interference, it led to, I think, a field goal after that, which was obviously the difference in this game. You don't want to single it out to say one play makes a big difference, but it absolutely did. It was complete bullshit.
It does. In that play, not only are you talking about, Landry with his arm behind, what the ref saw was the interlocking of Westry's arm with Landry. If you go back and watch, Landry has his arm hooked in on the top and his hand on the hip and turned his hip. That is the definition of defensive pass interference. And I think, to your point, I think the NFL needs to look at it. If I'm the Ravens, I'm definitely not happy with this. It definitely needs to be a rule that needs to be looked at. Speaking of rules that need to be looked at, the out of bounds kickoff call.
Yes, please.
Smart on that guy because he knew the rule. But I hate this rule.
So,
if the ball stays
lay this out, because there's a lot of fans that are confused on why it was called the way
I
it was
did
called.
see this.
This has happened.
It is. So here's what happened. The ball is inbounds. If the ball is inbounds, but the player is out of bounds, the ball is an extension of the player. Therefore, the ball is out of bounds.
So what happens on a kickoff when you kick the ball out of bounds?
It immediately goes to the 40-yard line.
It's a penalty.
So it's a penalty.
Goes to the 40.
So
the player is basically, like you said, an extension of the out of bounds mark. And kudos to him.
He knew the rule
for being smart enough to be able to do it. You talk about football IQ. That's a high football IQ play to make, and that's definitely something that they're not taught. I'm sure he just knew to do that.
So you've made the field 12 feet shorter. Like you literally cannot kick it within 6 feet of the sideline, because anyone can literally just lay down and stretch out and touch it with their pinky finger, and it's out of bounds. I think it's a stupid rule, completely stupid.
And
if the ball stops before it rolls out, it should not be out.
I would assume, knowing Harbaugh the way he is with talking to the league about rules and calls and stuff like that, I'm sure this will be
it's just
top of
embarrassing.
Well,
it's one of those things that's. Here's the thing with a rule. If you can't explain it easily to someone that doesn't know the sport, then it shouldn't be a rule. Like, it should. How can you show this is the out of bounds marker, and then the ball is clearly nowhere near it, and call it out of bounds?
Right.
That's not how it works anywhere.
Right.
Like, I think it's soccer where it's like the player can be out of bounds, the ball is the thing that moves. Like, at least there's a thing that matters. Like, there's a clear cut out and in. How can there be not a clear cut out and in?
It's the same thing on a fumble call. So if the ball is fumbled and it's rolling down close to the sideline, and a player recovers the ball, but part of his body is out of bounds, the ball is then out of bounds, and the possession doesn't change.
But that makes sense to me, because that's like illegal touching. Do you know what I mean? Like, that player should not be able to recover the ball, because he went out of bounds on his own. He wasn't blocked out. That's the same as like the punting rule.
So that's actually an interesting thought. There is an out of bound rule that if you knowingly go out of bounds and you don't make an effort to come back in, you're the first one to touch the ball. How does that work? How is that not challenging?
That's a penalty on the gutters.
Right, that's a penalty. That's a penalty. Well, it's penalty on the gutters. It should be a penalty on anybody.
And it's a penalty on wide receivers have been called for that before as well. Yeah.
So why is it not then?
I guess at that point you got to prove that he was intentionally doing it.
Well, I don't know.
I don't touch the ball until I touch out of bounds. Boom.
It's a judgment call. I mean, I don't know. Again, it's a rule that absolutely needs to be changed, and it will. This was a bad game for the Ravens, especially when it comes to penalties.
Well,
I mean, they had like almost 150 yards in penalties.
It was crazy. I mean, just going into the third quarter, 2 minutes into the third, they had 8 penalties for 105. They ended with 10 penalties for 125.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about the two pass interference calls on Chris Westry. That really sucked. The one definitely was not him. The other one, it was still questionable on him. Tavon with the end zone one, another questionable one.
Very questionable.
But look, here's the deal. John Harbaugh did not want to talk about this post game.
The number of flags frustrating at times.
Of course it was. I mean, if you guys saw the game, right? Well, write what you saw. You know, you want to get a quote from me about it, then I get fined or whatever. Just that's what it cracks me up. But go ahead and write what you saw.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to get fined.
No.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Harbaugh clearly upset, and he obviously knows that the issues with the penalties in this game. But at the end of the day, I'm not one to harp too hard on the refs and say, "Oh, the refs cost us this game." Da da da. No. But there were some complete bullshit calls, and those two were ones that stuck out for sure.
Yeah, it definitely stuck out. Harbs had some interesting talk as well on a favorite of the show.
Big. I mean, to make what he made a 51-yarder and a 55-yarder, I think, and on kind of that field and with the wind blowing the way it was, pretty telling. The fact that we have him to get points. I think it's a difference maker. He's worth his weight in gold.
Who's that? Who's that?
In case you didn't know, James, he's talking about Justin Tucker being worth his weight in gold.
Yeah.
This is never going to die, James. You realize that, right? 3 for 3 again on field goals.
We decided to use them this week to lose.
We did. 3 for 3 on the road in a windy environment, right? And to me, one of the prettiest onside kick conversions I've seen in a long time. It's
dumb on the Browns player
for not terrible play by the Browns. That was
still
not on him.
it was still
being Browns,
He
but we
literally
capitalized.
looked away from the ball. Why would you ever do that?
I think he thought it was going to bounce over his head, and it bounced and hit him in the shoulder pad. So I guess if you're expecting that to be the big bounce, but great play on Chuck Clark to get on that. And did you see that? Who was right there with him? Yeah. It was Justin Tucker. He was ready to go after it too. He was wanting it.
That was their first onside conversion in 20 years.
First successful onside conversion in 20 years.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Conversion in 20 years. There were only going into it was so crazy this week in the NFL. There's just so much shit going on in the NFL. It's insane. There were only 4 onside kick return or recoveries going into the entire year going into this week. There were 4 this week alone. They doubled the amount of conversions this week. It's insane.
Yeah,
you don't see that very often. It's rare.
It's definitely a thing of beauty. One thing I did want to talk about. I know that you wanted to mention the receivers and the passing game. Before we get to that, I did because we didn't really have much to talk about with it. The run game, obviously, we talked about the scramble by Huntley. But one of the things that I think went a little underrated in this game, yet again, Devontae Freeman stepping up, 4.9 yards per carry. Now, he had 13 carries for 64 yards. He did have a long of 21, but 4.9 on average. Even if you factor out that 21 on the one carry, he's still at like 2.9, almost 3, which is where we're asking him to be. Be at that 3 mark. Get that 3 mark. Give us the chance to be that conversion. And he's doing it. And we see him doing it consistently week to week to week.
And doing it behind a makeshift offensive line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I give a lot of credit to Devontae Freeman. He's gotten better each week that he's gone out there. And again, in the circumstances that we are, as depleted as we are at running back, I like Freeman.
This is a guy that people were ready to get rid of because they thought he was washed up and was the worst option that we had. And here he is. He's turning out to be the best option that we have right now.
He has, definitely. And he's both. He can run the football. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. You didn't see a whole lot of that out of Tyler Huntley, whereas Lamar relies on him more out of the backfield than Huntley seemed to. But when you're down that much, you're looking to get bigger chunks. So Huntley was more focused down the field in that game.
Yeah, definitely makes sense.
But to your point, man, we talked about Mark Andrews and the game that he had in this game, which was epic. And I started getting me to thinking about like where he had to be in yardage, because I know he's got to be close to 1,000 yards on receiving. Well, not only is he, but Hollywood, both very close to 1,000 yards receiving. Hollywood needs 134. 4 more games to go. He's 134 to hit 1,000 yards receiving. Andrews only needs 74, so he could very easily do it this upcoming week. How long have we been clamoring that this team needs that 1,000-yard receiver, right? That we need to see that. And we're going to have 2 in this season, bearing another fucking injury.
You better knock on fucking wood.
Knock on wood.
Jesus Christ.
Let me ask you this. When was the last time the Ravens had 2 1,000-yard receivers on their team?
It has to have been like 12-plus years.
Yeah, it was plus. Go back to the first year, 1996. Michael Jackson and Derek Alexander was the last time the Ravens had 2,000-yard receivers on their team.
There's some throwback names.
It's kind of hard when you're running team.
Kind of hard to, or pretty easy not to happen when you've got Kyle Bowler leading the way for a long time as well.
So I think let's, before we actually get into the Packers game, breaking that down, right? We talked about before, and we've been doing this week to week, right? We were 7-3 a few weeks ago. We said our realistic goal was 4-3.
You had to go 4-3. Yep, to get to 11-6.
We're now 8-5.
Yeah.
You got the Packers, you got the Bengals, you got the Rams, you got the Steelers.
Yeah.
Where does this wind up being?
It's tough.
James is like,
No more wins is what James says.
You're 1-2 so far in those first 3 games. You got 4 to go, and one win definitely doesn't guarantee you anything. One win doesn't, at what? That would put us at 9 wins. Definitely not going to happen. 2 is a minimum to get you in, but you really want 3 because when you think about it, right? 10 wins is the new 9 of what it used to be with the 17-game schedule now. 9 wins definitely never guaranteed you were going to be in the playoffs. You didn't really get to pretty much a guarantee being in the playoffs until you got to that 10-win marker. That means to get to the 10-win marker, the Ravens need to win 11 games. They got to win 3 of these next 4.
If you beat the Bengals, the 1 might do it. Yeah. Only if the Bengals is the win.
But here's the deal.
You're going to need a lot of help.
But here's the deal. Even then, it's going to be a scratch and claw because at that point, you're 2-3 in the division. If you get that, the Browns are 2-2, the Bengals are 3-1, and Steelers are 2-2. So this AFC
Steelers got a lot of catching up to do.
You got to win the Bengals and you got to beat the Steelers.
You have to win those 2 games.
That's your easiest path to the playoffs. If you're only going to win 2, you have to win those 2. It got to be against a division to keep them under you because right now, to your point,
and that's my point.
Only having the 1 division win, these other guys are going to have better division records if you get to a same record.
Right. Anybody forget what the Bengals did to us at home?
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I'm not saying. Listen, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying, how do you get there?
They're not getting any more wins. I made a bet.
I hope you're wrong, James.
I made a bet at work with a guy. I said, starting this past week with the Browns, I said the Ravens are going to go 0-5, and if they do win a game, I will shave my head bald. That's how confident I am.
Wait, this is recorded right now, live.
You're going to shave your head bald if the Ravens win 1 more game?
Wait, don't you?
No, they don't win any games.
Take the hat off so we know what we're starting with.
Did you hear him? Take the hat off so we know what we're starting with here.
All right, we're going to up this. Are you going to shave this head live on show if the Ravens get another win?
No, they're not going to get another win.
If they get a win, can we do this live on show?
We could shave it, but I'm talking about. I said razor. Like,
all right, well, we'll just use the
like
Clippers.
We'll use the Clippers, and then you can finish it off.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen.
I'm so excited.
The only game that you might get is the Steelers game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, again, we talk about all the injuries that they have in the secondary. You're going to go up against Devontae Adams, Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp, some of the cream of the crop as far as wide receivers go in the NFL right now. It's a tall task to ask out of Anthony Averett and Chris Westry, who was on the practice squad not too long ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a tall task for this defense altogether. I mean, you need this defensive front to continue to stay healthy. Calais, you got to see what happens there. As a point of note, where are the 2 games, interestingly enough, that Owe has almost been, I don't want to say non-existent, but less of a factor, that would be the 2 games that Calais Campbell has been out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
something point of note there, right? Is Calais provides the ability for him to get to where he needs to go.
Yeah,
which then shows you the value of Calais Campbell over a guy like a Broderick Washington who sometimes fills in for B. Will.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, Calais can line up all over the defensive line. You can line him up at the nose. You can line him outside. I mean, you can put him pretty much anywhere. That's the versatility to Calais Campbell. But let's talk about game 1. 4 games left. Game 1 this weekend against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers at the bank. So we got that going for us. It's a home game. It is now a 4:25 game versus a 1 o'clock game that was originally scheduled for. So for you guys that are going to the game, make sure you set your calendars appropriate.
COVID toe.
Yeah. I don't know. It didn't look bad against the Bears. He lit the Bears up. So
can Devontae Adams catch that COVID toe, please? Look, that's the thing that you're looking at. Aaron Rodgers dealing with the toe issues, right? Like you said, it didn't bother him. This offense, when you were looking, you were saying this offense, you were a little surprised where this offense was ranked.
Yeah, 13th ranked offense in yards per game, talking about the Packers. 14th in points per game. So offensively, they're not quite the juggernaut that you would expect Aaron Rodgers and their offense to be. obviously against the Bears again. That's a totally different story. That was a big game. But when you look at their rankings overall for the year, not that great. Where they actually stand out and they shine is a little unexpected for Green Bay. They're 5th ranked in defense yard per game, 7th in points per game given up. And when you really look at, we talk about like the turnover differential and what the Ravens are struggling with right now, the Packers are plus 12 in turnover differential to the Ravens at a -9.
God help us all.
That's 21 turnover differential between
It is.
the two.
But here's the crazy point about this, and you were super surprised when I said this. The Ravens, obviously they come into as underdogs in this game, but it's not by what you think.
No,
It's
I
by
thought
4.5.
Yeah, I thought this would at least be a touchdown or more, to be honest with you, coming into this game. But
The Packers.
yeah, we'll talk about it. But listen, I this year has been strange, to say the least, specifically for the Ravens, right? Every time you count this team out and you think that something bad's going to happen or that they can't come back from something, they prove you wrong. I mean, they
Huntley almost won the game
They
last
almost
week.
did it in Cleveland on the road. I get it. The Browns are not the Packers. The Packers are not the Browns. I understand that. But I'm never going to completely doubt this team and say that they can't do it. They're going to get blown out.
We didn't think we were going to handle the Chiefs the way that we did.
Right. I listen, I think it's all going to determine, too, what happens with Lamar. Does Lamar play? Do they rest him? I mean, obviously the injury wasn't as serious as some of us had thought it could be. They're saying that he's potentially going to play. Harb said if he can be out there,
he's going to be
out there. He's going to be the quarterback. So I wanted to ask you guys your opinion on that, right? So obviously Lamar is your, future franchise quarterback of this team and this organization. With a guy like that who is dealing, even if it's just hampering him a little bit, do you give him that week off to let him rest and recover and go after that last 3-game stretch and let Huntley play in this game? Or if he's ready to go, do you suit him up?
So my thinking on this is if he has any inkling that it's bothering him, if you get any idea that it's bothering him, he sits this game and it's Huntley. Because you more so want him to be healthy for those division games, which have a bigger impact on how we can finish the season.
Right.
This game, yes, it has an impact. But guess what's also happening? They're only playing the Packers. They're pretty much locked in the playoffs at this point.
Right.
So now they're just playing for first place. So could they ease it up and put Jordan Love in there a little bit more? I don't think they will. I think if Rodgers says, yeah, I'm good to go, he's going. But I do think that this is the game that this and the Rams, if you have to sit Lamar, it's the 2 games you do it. You can't sit Lamar against a division rival.
Don't give me your prediction with the game yet. We all kind of already feel and know where you're going with this game, James. But if you're going to make the decision on quarterback for the Ravens, Lamar is still dealing with a little bit of uncomfort in that ankle.
If Lamar wants to get paid, he shouldn't play this game.
If Lamar wants to get paid, he shouldn't play this game?
Correct.
Okay. And why do you say that?
Because you already have a sprained ankle. By the time they get done with the Packers, it could be broken. And if it gets broken, you're not going to get a contract the way that you think. But also, I want to throw it back at you, is if you want to pay your quarterback top dollar, and we all say you shouldn't pay your top running back money, so why are we going to pay our quarterback that's a top running back?
Say it again.
So
He's calling Lamar a running back.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like to me.
So Lamar's essentially a running back, and we say you shouldn't pay your running back.
Essentially a running back.
Yeah, well, he's a running for his life back there, so he is a running back.
He's running back for his life.
So we all say you shouldn't pay your running back because in 5 years you're done. So you're going to give this guy a 14-year contract to be a running back.
First off, nobody ever said that they were going to give him a 10 or 14-year contract. I think if Lamar gets anything, it's going to be like the 4 to 5 year extension type
he
thing.
Ain't get no 4 to 5.
Yeah,
Nick knows.
It's not going to be a 10 to 14 year contract, but you absolutely rest Lamar.
I don't think it's any
in
better,
this
Nick.
case.
Nick says rest the entire team, start the Terps and
You absolutely rest
done that
Lamar
last week,
in
and
this
Lamar would be
case,
healthy.
though. You absolutely rest Lamar in this case, though, because he is your franchise quarterback. You guys can joke about it all you want. You can make all the remarks that you want about him not playing good this year. When you're comparing him to an MVP year when he had his full gambit of weapons, when he had a full fucking offensive line out there, you are comparing apples and oranges. He is still and was for 6 weeks single-handedly carrying this team to success. He single-handedly has them in this position to potentially make a fucking playoff run here. If you are doubting Lamar, then you are not understanding the full picture here, and you're fucking crazy. Lamar will be the future quarterback of this team for a long fucking time, so you don't jeopardize that. And if he's dealing with any discomfort, he wakes up with a fucking runny nose. Sit him this game. You sit him this game because, to Scott's point, this game isn't as important. If you're going to lose any of these next 4, the most important are your division games, Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. Those are the two games you want to win this year to try to get into the playoffs. This game is the game you sit him.
Can we get an amen?
Good God, fans. You poke the bear worse than I ever have.
I'm just tired of hearing it. All the bullshit and all the funny jokes about, Lamar and Huntley, and he played better and blah, 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 blah. Let's start Huntley. No, it's bullshit.
Everybody in the chat room is loving it. Give it to me. Preach, 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 Fred. Tell it, Fred. Everybody's agreeing with you. So I think, to your point, it goes down to what you have in front of you. If you want to get there with him as your quarterback, you got to keep him healthy, and this is not the game to be rolling the dice.
It's not worth the risk.
No,
it's not.
It definitely isn't. So, all right, the only other point of note for this game doesn't even have to do with a starter, but Tristan Colon-Castillo today goes on the reserve COVID-19 list.
That's big.
So why is that important? Because if Bradley Bozeman goes down, your long snapper probably becomes your center.
Yeah, you got your backup options at center would have been Pat McCarry, who is obviously injured and dealing with zone issues.
With a hand.
And now you've got Castillo out with COVID-19. So Bozeman's got to stay healthy for this entire game, or you're going to have somebody at center who's never snapped the ball other than a Nick Moore, like you said, the long snapper, who is not built to play center. He's too small of a guy to play center. So who are you going to move over there? Maybe you put a Ben Cleveland out there. It's an emergency
Tyree
option.
Phillips can't play right tackle. Maybe let's see if he can play center.
I don't know.
The good news is we've never taken a snap under center, so that whoever it is has to be in shotgun the whole game.
Well, we'll see what happens. But yeah,
beyond that, it's not just the Ravens. Fortunately, again, knock on some fucking serious wood, we have not been impacted by COVID severely as of yet. But man, it is running rampant through the NFL right now. The Rams have 9 players on the COVID list, including OBJ, who just went off. And this guy that he had a touchdown and like 75 yards, who had a pretty good game for the Rams. Browns now have 8 players on the COVID list, 1 week too late. All 8 are vaccinated, though. So even with vaccinations, this thing is still running rampant.
Well, and that's the thing, too, is, we haven't been affected by it yet, but that's what you start to worry about, right? Was there any translation in the game, right? We've heard that there's no contact between players in games, but clearly there's something that happens, right? As you start seeing these ramp up. I think the Dolphins, their running back room just got it with it as well, just got hit pretty bad with it as well. But as you said, like the Rams, I mean, 6 of the 9 guys are defensive starters.
Yeah.
The other 2 guys that weren't OBJ in those 60s were actually practice squad guys.
Right.
So it's just crazy to see this kind of rear its head. But we bring this up because we're going to get into our NFL predictions here. And as you start to make your predictions, you start to think about them. You got to take what's happening across the NFL, what is apparently happening across the NFL.
Yeah.
It's kind of really gone big. The Rams missed Higbee last night because of a false positive.
Yeah, my fantasy team missed Higbee last night, too. Fucking guy.
How's the playoffs?
So this is where we're at. This is the fun part of the year. So if you're going to come back and overtake James in this
is where it happens.
list, this is where it starts to happen, because this is where you have like 5-6 games a week through the holidays to bank on. Right now, James leads the predictions at 37-15. Scott and I are in second at 34-18. Ryan in third at 33-19, and then Drew holding up the pack at 30-22. So we're 3 games out. Yeah. This is how you got to make up your ground here against James.
I plan on it this week.
Let's start, because you got 2 games on Saturday. You got Sunday.
Thursday night game.
Right. Let's start with the Thursday night game. This is probably, in my opinion, going to be the best game, I think, of the entire gambit. You got the 9-4 Chiefs who are playing really, really hot football going into Los Angeles to take on the Chargers, who are also playing really, really good football. Division game, 8-5. I'll let you kick this one off. How do you see this game shaking out?
So when I look at this game, I think, if you asked me this game 2-3 weeks ago, I'd have picked the Chargers. Because the Chargers were looking good, and the Chiefs just could not seem to put it together on a consistent basis. Well, this past week, the Raiders just pissed off the Chiefs. Because the Raiders went and stomped all over the logo and said, fuck you, you're not that great.
Mind you, funny you bring that up. You know who led that charge, Ryan?
No.
Were you even paying attention to what Scott was saying?
No, I do. On the logo, I was just looking for my scores.
Do you know who led that
I don't
decision?
know who's decided to charge that.
He's a Turg.
Oh. Who?
Yannick.
That's kind of surprising, actually.
Yeah.
That's really surprising.
Well, he got out there, he stopped on it, and the Chiefs wound up steamrolling it. But this is a tight game. But I do have the Chiefs pulling it out. I do think the Chargers have a little bit of a bounce-back game, come back, and are able to put some points on the board in this game. Chiefs win 35-33 in this game. Ryan, let's throw it over to you.
All right, I got the Chiefs as well in this game. So it got them 27-17. I don't think that the Chargers can hang with it. I think the defense was the problem for the Chiefs, and they've clearly fixed that problem. I don't know how every year the Chiefs seem to do this. Their defense gets better throughout the year. Nobody else's defense gets better throughout the year. You either get worse because of injuries or you stay the same. And I'm the only team that manages to do this is the Kansas City Chiefs. Congratulations. They'll win the Super Bowl again, probably.
James, what do you got?
I had the Chiefs winning this game 41-37. I think it's going to be a quarterback shootout. Both defense are stepping up, but one of them is going to fail. But I think it's going to be a shootout. Hopefully it's a good Thursday night football. I really need this guy Herbert to at least score at least 2 touchdowns. So I'm hoping.
What's your casting couch partner there got for the
Drew
prediction?
has, because he needs to catch up. He has the Chargers winning in a close game, 34-30.
All right. So I've got this game in a barn burner as well. I think it's going to be a very close game. To your point, I think it's going to be a high-scoring, back-and-forth game. Listen, some of the throws that fucking Herbert made against the Giants, man, like 60 yards in stride downfield. He's just – his arm talent is second to none. I mean, it's unreal. Patrick Mahomes and that offense with the Chiefs is getting rolling.
Their defense is clicking. Things
have really changed since Clyde Edwards-Helaire has come back, and it's really rounded out that offense and allowed them to open up their entire playbook. He's been a big benefit. It's going to be a close game. And when I come down to close games, I always come down to who's the home team, right? If this is in Kansas City, I'm taking Kansas City. So I'm going to let the home team be the winning deciding factor in this. So I got the the Chargers winning 33-27 in a close game.
You should get that back, Fred. You said you picked the home team. Just to let you know, the Chargers Stadium is technically a home game for the road team.
There is truth to that, for sure. Let's start off with Saturday, man. The first Saturday kickoff at 4:30. It's got the Raiders, who season really fell apart after the whole Gruden situation and the whole
started off hot. They were like 3 or 4-0.
Yeah, and Gruden, Henry Ruggs. I mean, it's been downhill ever since then.
6-7. They're going to go into Cleveland, where we just were, so Cleveland doesn't have to do any traveling. 7-6. Fred, where do you have this game falling?
This is going to be a shit show of a game. I don't think it's going to be entertaining at all. And again, it comes down to who's the home team. I think the Browns will be able to do enough in this game. I don't believe in the Raiders offense. If anything, Hunter Renfrow is the guy to look out for the Raiders. I think he could have a big game against the secondary, because right now the secondary is reeling for Cleveland.
Yeah, they are.
We didn't take full advantage of that.
Weren't able to take full advantage of it.
Right, exactly. But I think the Browns will do enough to fucking be pesky Browns and still be in it in the end of the at the end of the day with the division. Browns will win this one 24-21.
All right, well, let's throw it over to the couch. James, what do you and Drew have over there?
I just want to start with, this is going to be the pick-to-click game maybe, because we all have like close scores. So I have the Browns winning 27-23. Like Fred said, I really don't give a shit about this game. I'm glad I'm going to be at work at work when this game's going on, so I can care less. Both teams suck anyways. And then my partner in crime had the Raiders trying to make up grounds and trying to really make up grounds. I think he's going to hurt himself this whole week. He has them winning 27-20.
All right, Ryan, what do you got?
My score matches James, so we might have a double pick to click here. I didn't know this until this moment. 27-23 Browns. I really hope that Nick Chubb can get rolling against not us, because now I've lost all my bye weeks and I need him to do something.
All right, Scott, what do you got?
I look at this game. The Browns. I think Baker is reeling after a tough game. He's dealing with all those injuries. He looked. I mean, I think they brought in Case Keenum for one play there towards the end, but I think he's reeling. And the Raiders, I think Crosby is a guy that can put some pressure on him. This offensive line is going to struggle to handle him. And I think the Raiders can pull this out. They want to come back after getting stomped in the face by the Chiefs. They want to prove that they deserve to be in discussions. And I think they do it in this game, but very, very slightly on the leg of their kicker. 27-24 is how they win this.
All right, so that score is my score for this next game. We got the Saturday night game, the New England Patriots at 9-4, which are either the number 1 seed or number 2 seed right now in the AFC. It's pretty impressive what they're doing. 9-4, going into Indianapolis to take on the 7-6 Colts. I think this will be a close game, but if there are close games that the road team can win, it's a team that's led by Bill Belichick. Mac Jones, like I said before, man, he looks like the real deal as a rookie. I mean, he's probably a shoo-in for Rookie of the Year offensively. Obviously, Micah Parsons is going to win that defensively.
Yeah.
He's a shoo-in for the offensive Rookie of the Year. Might look like a math teacher, might walk like a math teacher, but he's a hell of a quarterback. I think he'll do enough to win this game, 27-24 on the road.
All right. I'm right there with you as far as the Patriots being able to do this. Now, I do think the Colts put up a little bit of a fight, but I think the Patriots their defense is going to be able to handle the Colts. The Colts have been, up and down, had their struggles. They want to prove, they're coming off a bye week, right? So I think that comes in their favor. But Bill Belichick is going. Frank Reich is good, but Bill Belichick is better. And I think you're going to see that in this game. I've got 31-21 Patriots. Ryan, what do you got?
I'm the Terps fan. Frank Reich is going to do some Frank Reich things. It's kind of amazing the turnaround with the quarterback getting back together with his offensive coordinator from Philly and kind of lighten things up. I think this is a bounce-back game for the Colts. They were doing really well and kind of had let down the last week or two. And I think they can get this done. So I got the Colts 24-17.
James, what do you got?
Well, Brian must have looked at my score again because I have
There's no
the
way.
Colts winning 24-17.
Who texts first? I want to know.
I did. I just looked just to make sure Scott didn't put the.
No, I didn't. I didn't put him in this week.
I did.
I just went back and looked. I was like, let me make sure they maybe copied the wrong thing. But
Ryan goes, that looks good. Copy paste.
It's right. It's the same score. We both have it 24-17.
2 picks to click this week. 2 doubles. Let's get it.
And then it looks like Drew went with the old Wheel of Fortune $1 under, not Wheel of Fortune. What is it?
Price is Right.
Price Right. I always get that fucked
Yeah.
up. Price Right. I'm old.
He has it 23-18, but he went first in the list. But that's pretty funny though.
All right. Well, next is the game that we all are paying attention to, and that is this Packers-Ravens game. As the Packers come into town, they come into the bank. Look, I think the place is going to be rocking. Whether it's Lamar, whether it's Huntley, the fans are going to show out for this game because they know that this is, it'd be nice to beat a team that's 10-3, right? Mm-hmm. It's going to be big. This game was originally a 1:00 game, got flexed to a 4:25 game a few weeks ago. So fans are really, chomping at a bit, knowing that this is going to be a prime-ish game, right, for the late games. So I'm drinking the purple Kool-Aid this week.
Oh, man.
I went out on a ledge, and this was a coin flip.
Ledge or your deck?
What's the difference? But I have to go with the Ravens this week. I think they pull it out. I don't want to make this prediction because it either means it hurt or they're sitting him. I hope it's because he's sitting him, but I think this is a Huntley-led win, 27-24.
I don't think that's an off-basis pick as far as Huntley being out there. I think Huntley will be the starting quarterback because I think Harbaugh and that coaching staff feels exactly how I feel about Lamar, that if he is even the slightest bit uncomfortable with that foot, you sit him this week. So I do think Huntley will start in this game. I think Huntley will hold his own. I think he'll have a good game in this game. It's not going to be great, but I don't think he's going to do anything to cost us this game. But you're talking about Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones going up against a depleted Ravens defense. I understand Anthony Averett, Chris Westry, all the good shit we just talked about how they did against Cleveland, but that was Cleveland. That was Baker Mayfield, one shoulder Baker Mayfield. This is Aaron Rodgers. This is the guy who won the MVP last year. This is one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. The Packers are going to win this game, and I'm not going to be too butthurt about it. I kind of expected this to be a loss even before all the injuries. When I was looking at the schedule, when they first announced it, I had picked this game as probably one of the 4 losses that we were going to have on the year. And even with Tyler Huntley, it's not an embarrassing loss. I've got us losing 34-24.
All right, what do we got over there on the couch?
Well, I just want to give a shout out. William Sable.
Sable, yeah.
He said this is going to be his 3rd straight Ravens television game for me in Michigan.
Appreciate you watching from Michigan, man. I know that you've been chiming in a lot.
Appreciate it, man.
So I have it. Aaron Rodgers not going to give no discount double check to the Ravens, so it's going to be I think he's licking his chops. His toes going to be rested on the plane.
Toes gonna be rested.
I have this game 47-8. No, 47-13. Just Justin Tucker field goals in this game to help him, somewhat, get me some points in fantasy. But this could be Aaron Rodgers' day.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be
What's your buddy over there got?
Yeah, it's the Packers too. We're going to be both at the games and hopefully catch up with Fred.
Yeah.
Keep his spirits up.
I'm going to need a lot of alcohol, so hopefully you do join.
Yeah. He has 33-24.
All right, Ryan, what do you got?
Yeah, I don't know. These Ravens aren't going to have a great week. This one's tail's already falling off. It knows how bad things are going on.
Thought you were about to eat crow over something again.
No, it's not going to eat the crow. We'll call it a Raven this week. But I just think, like you said, the last ranked passing defense in the league versus Aaron Rodgers against a man that's really enjoying kind of rubbing his own team in how good he is.
Yeah.
Like just watching like the stench of arrogance fall off this man.
He is next level with it.
It's unbelievable. We've talked before like how likable he was and how unlikable Brady was, and they have flip-flopped completely.
Yeah.
But it's almost getting to that point of like the Dave Portnoy for me where it's just so in your face arrogant that I'm
Yeah.
like, I kind of enjoy this.
Do you know who I am attitude?
Yeah, like he literally looks at his own sidelines in a taunting manner after every touchdown. It's just so much fun to watch. And Adams seems to hate the Green Bay Packers too, but they're going to hate the Ravens worse. They're going to blow us up. Honestly, looking back at the score, I might not even have them scoring enough points, but I have it 35-20, and I guess I'll stick with it.
All right, Sunday Night Football. You got the New Orleans Saints led by Taysom Hill, 6-7, going into Tampa to take on Tampa Tom at 10-3. I don't think this is going to be much of a game. I don't. I listen, Taysom Hill, I understand the dual threat that he is and all that, and he put up good fantasy points this last week, but he did not.
On the last play.
On the last play, right. He did not look good throwing the football. I'm actually going to change my score on this. I put a little too high of a number there for the Saints. I got the Bucs winning it, but I got them winning 30-26. No, 30-17. Sorry,
30-17.
Yeah.
All right, we'll have to make sure we get that adjusted.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you at all. Right there along the same lines. I think they go down into Tampa.
Yeah.
Right. That's what it is now. Tampa
Bay.
And I think the Bucs, are just able to handle them. The Saints offense can't get rolling. Kamara did get rolling a little bit last week, but it wasn't against anything impressive. So this Bucs defense is going to be able to step in here. I've got them winning 35-20 in this game. Ryan, what do you got?
I got the Bucs as well. It looks like clean sweep except for the chaser. So we got 27-13. I think that Tom Brady is just on a whole nother level right now. He's playing the best football he's ever played at 44 years old. I'm trying to trade for him in Dynasty. Just get me an old quarterback.
At this point,
for the
it
next
wouldn't
6
be
years.
a bad call.
And so I just I don't understand what it is.
So when are you calling me?
As soon as it opens up. So after the playoffs empty, we'll talk about what draft picks you want for an old ass man.
So what do you got as a score?
My score for the Bucs is 27-13.
All right, James, what do you got?
All right, I'm going to go with I'm going with old man Brady. He's just going to get it done. I have him winning.
He prices righted you.
Yeah, 31-17. Also, Nick Short, if you can find me, I'll buy a beer for every Raven touchdown. So if you can find me, I'll buy you a beer for every touchdown that
Nice.
they score.
I hope they go off. I hope they go off.
Yeah.
What's Drew got?
My buddy on the couch, I'm gonna go in his voice. I just want to say, if anything has to go in my way, I'm gonna go with the Saints because I got my boy Kamari that's got to get me some points for fantasy football.
If you close your eyes,
And
it's not too
he's
bad.
gonna-
It's not. I close my eyes.
and he's gonna go off and he hopefully gets me some points to put me in this fantasy game.
I don't know what that just was, but
I hope Drew is watching. He said not Southern enough.
everything's got to have a Southern twang to it.
We agreed that everyone's Southern. We don't try to actually do real voices.
All right, man. All right, the last game is going to be the Monday night game. This one's a real watcher. Yeah, ESPN's not even having Eli and Peyton do this game. It's the Vikings, who are 6-7 right now, going in and facing the Bears at 4-9. Both teams have had some struggles as of recent. I look at this game. The Bears have had a lot more struggles. They can't figure out who the hell they want at quarterback, much less who they should have at head coach. So I look at this game. I think it's going to be very blah. It's going to be a blasé game, and the Vikings are going to pull it out just because they have a little bit more weapons, in my opinion, and they're going to be able to win this 25-21. I don't think either team's able to put up a lot.
Ryan, what do you got? Ryan, what do you got?
I got the Vikings winning 24-17. I think that Cook's got just unbelievable.
Pretty sure Cook is still running from last week.
He probably will score 24 on his own, so I might have to put a Jefferson touchdown in here later. But, they just playing better, and the Bears can't do anything, and we're not really sure where they stand.
All right, James, what do you got?
All right, to get back to Nick Short again, I don't know where I'm gonna be at. I'm going to game with Drew, and this is like my third game ever at the stadium, so I don't know anything about Ravens.
We'll be tailgating Lot H if you get down there early enough.
H, I'll be there too. Lot H, then I'll be buying beers there or whatever. And
you can't miss me. I usually stand out of a crowd.
well, like I said, I had them winning 34-27. Cook, for a guy that looked like he was going to be out to playing and this and that, he looked hell on fire, dude.
Yeah.
That guy wasn't playing him in fantasy football this past week. But Drew has the Vikings winning 40-20. He must have some money on this game or a fantasy guy, so that's why it must be that high.
Yeah, so this was one of the games where, again, I'm 3 down behind James, right? And I'm going back and forth. I'm looking for a makeup game here because I do think this is going to be a close game. You got two shitty teams playing against each other. I think Dalvin Cook is the best player on the field, but I also do believe that Justin Fields has shown flashes, right? And even in the game last week, there were some really good plays and there were some really bad plays. I think he'll string enough together to keep him in the game. Again, it's being a home game for Chicago. I need a game to make up here.
And the first interception he throws, they're calling for Dalton.
We'll see. I got the Bears winning this one 31-30. Hopefully I can make up a game there somewhere. All right, Ryan, it's time for a social media shout out, sponsored by Liquor Stop. Who's been out in the chat room chatting it up?
All right, well, I got to congratulate my first virgin here. I believe Mr. Googs is the first time he's knocked out the first comment.
Congrats, Googs.
Buffalo Chuck followed up soon after. Dave Missler, Nick Short, Kamal Porter, Jacob Paul, Joshua Walker, Jack Crick, Flock Nation, Robbie Redford, Craig Zero, Justin Marshall, William Sable, Sharon Sherry, and Jahazem Ali, who gets our first comment here. Trying to comment me about Brady not playing well, about refs bailing people out until he learns football. Let me drop some stats on you real quick here. So, Tom Brady right now has the highest completion percentage of his entire career at 68.2%. He has 36 touchdowns, which is only less than last year and the year he threw 50 to Randy Moss. Has more, and we still have, 4 games left of the regular season? I won't count that last game for you since we're stretching at 17. He's obviously going to get better. Brady is playing out of his fucking mind as a 44-year-old. He has 4,134 yards, which is already in like the top 5. And again, 4 more games to go. Brady's playing amazing football. The refs can help you out, but they can't give you yards. They can give you pass interferences. They might be bailing out the team, but you can't fix your stats with refs. You can't do it.
Let's also not forget that, what was it, last week? He ran for like a 10 or 12-yard scramble. When's the last time you saw Tom Brady scramble? Much less at 44 years old.
That was an absolutely ridiculous comment. If you ask me, Tom Brady right now is the front runner for MVP at this point. With the stats that he is putting up, he is the front runner for MVP.
Rodgers.
No. Aaron Rodgers is building a case, but he has not done what Tom Brady has done this year. And I am not a Tom Brady
Tom Brady had some of his top
apologist
receivers go down, and he's still producing.
What top receiver? One, Antonio Brown.
He didn't. He had AB go out, and he was missing Gronk for a little while too, and then you pull in Godwin.
Like 5 games.
Yeah, he missed him for a good
I
portion.
know he's got weapons like crazy, but he's playing out of
They
his
got some
mind.
great tight ends
Absolutely.
down there.
Absolutely.
Please name Brady's wide receivers. We did.
There's lots of them.
That's what we're talking about. That's why.
All right, man.
Okay, the 49ers have lots of good wide receivers. Like,
No,
there's
they
lots
got
of teams
A.
that have
They got A
that
wide
have receivers.
It's whatever.
The
It's
Rams have
Kirk
great
Cousins.
wide
Hey,
receivers.
Drew. It's a moot point.
It's a mute point. Yeah,
It's a moot point.
On a lesser comment, we got David Missler out there that was dropping some knowledge. He says, unlike a murder of crows, this came after us discussing the murder and the homicide. A group of ravens is called an unkindness or conspiracy, which honestly, both those words can easily describe our fans. So I think it's kind of nice.
That's funny. That is
True.
funny.
That's good. All right, man. So what did Jerry and the crew hook us up with this week? It's pretty good, whatever it is.
Yeah, so this is from Avery Brewing Company, which I forget where they're out of, the Boulder, Colorado. So this one is their Old Jubilation. It's an English-style old ale. Classic winter warmer is what they call this. It's 8.3%. It is very stout. It's a stout type beer. Very kind of almost like thick, but it's smooth. Usually when you get some of these, they kind of got some bite to them. They're a little hard to kind of take on, but these are actually pretty good.
It's a strong beer. I mean, I knew before I even looked at the alcohol
took one
concept that it was going to be a strong beer. So again, if you're looking for a beer that you can drink 2 and have a nice buzz on, this is it.
I think I'm going to save this for the game.
This is definitely a good one to choose. I like it, like you said, for being an 8.3. It doesn't have a harsh bite on it or whatever. I could definitely drink a couple of these and be all right.
It's not like you're drinking 3 or 4 of these. You're drinking one or two. It's not a chugging beer. It's
Got a nice Christmas scene on it for you.
Yeah, it's a sipping beer, but it's a nice winter beer. So.
Speaking of Christmas, if you are looking for a gift, now it's for limited time only. The company that we've talked about a lot on this show, that the beers that we like, the Smoogies or whatever it's called.
Smooch.
It's the Smoot. No, not Smooch. Smoogie.
Oh, well, same company makes it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they're doing like this holiday pack there, where it's you get a pack of red and a pack of green for Christmas or whatever. You have to buy both of them, but it gives you an assortment of flavors and assortment of variety. So get out there to the liquor stop, tell them the Birdland BS.
And it's a good deal because, again, we've talked about some of the deals they do, but this one's a good deal because normally these beers individually are $8-9 a pop.
Yeah, easily.
So
tell them Birdland BS sent you, get you 10% off. All right, Ryan, it's time for some Shell and Tell.
Good. I need something to calm me down with people still talking trash.
No, it's
Let
all
me
right.
tell you the stats for Brady with shitty weapons. 6 Super Bowls. That's what the stats are.
If you don't have haters, you're not doing it right, Ryan. It's part of the game, man.
I mean, I never liked Brady, but I mean, you got to admit when somebody's like dominating as an old ass man.
There are people that just absolutely cannot stand Brady,
I used to be
regardless
one
of
them.
what
did
he
he
does.
do to Edelman?
In the sun.
Edelman's nothing without Brady.
It is
Simple
what it
as
is.
that.
Perryman, it looks great with him.
Exactly. What? Perryman can catch a ball from him.
Right. All right, man. Let's talk about the Terps hoop squad right now, sitting at 6-4 after their first big win of the season. Danny Manning's first as a head coach, beating number 20 Florida 70-68. Was it a perfect game? Not by any stretch. But were there areas that they improved on and things that they can build off of? Yes. And again, this is their first out of conference ranked win since 2014.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things where you're like, see, this proves that.
No, I didn't say that.
I know. I know.
I didn't say that.
But a lot of people are like, this
know.
proves that Turg couldn't win the big game. All we had to do was get rid of him and win the big game. But this is truly like a lot of the Turg defenders were like, look at the shooting percentages. And how is Turg affecting this? Like, he might not be recruiting the right shooters, but he's certainly not missing the shots for him.
Right.
And we won this game because 2 people could not miss.
Yeah, I mean, this team had their best shooting night of the season, 49% from the field, but more importantly, 61.5% from 3. When they've been under 30% for the entire year, they had been shooting like 28% from 3 for the entire year.
Yeah, like last in the nation, like 3rd to last or something crazy.
Do I expect this to continue? No. But do I think that they can improve in this area? Yes. And that's going to work with getting the ball inside and passing it out to the open shooter as these double teams come on. And I think we'll start to see this team develop, especially if we start seeing this 2 big man that they went to for the first time in this game, where they had Wahab and Julian Reese on the court together. That's where you'll see the double teams down
Take
low,
the pressure off Wahab.
kick the ball out to the perimeter, get yourself a nice open shot with your feet set, and that's where I think you can see the shooting improve.
Yeah, I just need Wahab to be better at it. We talked this week. I thought as a grad transfer coming in that he would be more of a finished project.
Yeah.
Like, him and Reese, when you look at him, like, I'm like, oh my God, I love Reese. And then I'm like, I can't stand Wahab, really. I don't know what we're doing with this. But they're really very similar players. I don't think that one's much better than the other. My expectations are what's
Reese
so different.
is more athletic, I think.
But just my expectations were like, okay, this is a freshman. So, like, when he makes freshman mistakes, I'm like, all right, we can work through that. He'll learn.
Yeah.
He hasn't seen that look before. With Wahab, I'm like, how? You're an old man. Like, you should know.
Man.
You should know how to pass out of a double team. You weren't getting doubled at the lower level. You sure should have been getting doubled at the lower level because you were able to move up.
Right.
So how do you not know how to get the ball and get it to somebody else? Why are you dribbling?
Yeah.
Why are you rebounding balls at your chest and not what? He takes away his size.
Right.
I'm glad you kind of brought that up, because one of the things that consistently, whether it's under Turg or Danny Manning in this game, yet again, we continue to see these big men get out-rebounded. They were out-rebounded by 5, which is kind of the average. I don't know that they've out-rebounded any team since the first game.
Yeah, and that wasn't really a game.
Right, exactly. But that's my point. It kind of goes to what you guys are saying. You see this, it's a little bit better because we've seen this gap be 10 plus at times. Yeah. But this time with the 2 men down there, it gives them there. But there's still some coaching that needs to happen. Like, get your body up there, dude. That was one of the things I'm sitting there going, what the hell are you doing?
He was dropping passes, dropping easy rebounds.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. Like, Florida is a good rebounding team to begin with, and starting center Colin Castleton is a big problem usually down low. I think, yes, I understand your point offensively with Wahab. It was a challenge. I don't think he scored any points in this game, or if he did, he had like 1. He didn't. I'm pretty sure he had 8 rebounds in this game. Julian Reese, I think, only had like
Wahab
5
had 1 point.
Yeah, and Julian Reese only had 5, right? So offensively, they weren't doing a whole lot down low, but what they were doing is they were playing solid defense. They only held Castleton to 9 points in this game. So yes, does he need to improve? To your point, should he be a more finished product? 100%. But there's not another alternative. The alternative isn't somebody else that's on the bench not getting playing time. You got to work with Wahab. You got to continue to get him comfortable in this offense, and you're only going to do that by playing him more.
Yeah, there's definitely some offensive changes happening. It's less of the weave and heave going on. It made appearances because you can't replace every play in your arsenal in a couple weeks.
Right.
But there's definitely, you're seeing the first game, it kind of just looked like a Mark Turgeon team led by Mark Turgeon's best friend.
Right.
And this looked like more of a, we're starting to adapt differently. We're starting to play different things. You saw the most obvious moment was actually with Julian Reese, who was completely lost on a play and being like directed and moved by his point guard and be like, no, you're supposed to be there. And Reese is like, no, I'm supposed to be, and they like yelled at him and he's like, oh, fine, I'll go stand there.
You saw that a couple times this game. There were some issues in communication between Fats and Xavier Green as well, especially late in the game on the inbound pass, the first inbound pass.
Yeah.
So there were some communication issues. But listen, this was probably the best game that Fats Russell and EA, Eric Ayala, have played together. I mean, as a backcourt, combined for 38 points on 13 of 24 shooting, 6 of 8 from 3. Fats, who has never shot the ball well from 3 in his career, even at Rhode Island, 3 for 3 in this game. Again, do you expect that every week? No, but it's a good sign to see these guys playing well together.
Yeah, it's absolutely a great sign. It's a great sign to get Eric back at all to what he used to be, get to his old self.
I was going to say, that's one of the questions I did have for you guys with the fact that, you know, he steps up, has a better game in this game. But is it surprising to you guys that a guy like Eric Ayala, a guy like Fats, Is it coaching? Is it just a lack of ability to hit the three? Because while they went off it as a team in this game, you talk about 6 of 8, but you talk about they shot 61%. I mean, are you depending too much on guys like Dante Scott to pop off the three like he has been recently?
That's been the problem. Really, the only consistent shooter from 3 this entire season has been Hakeem Hart. Outside of that, nobody has been consistent behind the arc. And it's what I was saying a couple weeks ago. It's not that they're forcing bad shots. It's not that they're getting bad looks. It's just they're not hitting shots, and they're not a very good shooting team. But the problem was, under Turgeon, they continually took those shots. In this game, they didn't heave a ton of three-point shots, but the shots that they took, they made it a high percentage. That's what I'm saying. That's an improvement. That's something that the team can hang their hat on, and I'm going to look to see if that trend continues moving forward. What needs to get cleaned up is the turnovers, and that was bad in this game. They had 15 turnovers in this game. That's sloppy. That's something that it's been an issue for this team all year. That needs to be controlled, and it starts with your point guard in Fats.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you noticed because you watched it live.
Yeah,
and I was on night shift, so I slept through it and then went back and watched it. So it was
I relived it for you.
I was able to detail dig a little bit more, not be so stressed out of what's going on. But Fats wasn't your point guard by the even a quarter of the way through the second half.
Right, they were doing some rotations.
It was very surprising to me to see the fact that the full court pressure is the reason they made that change. This guy you brought in to be your true point guard wasn't the one that was able to handle the full court pressure. Somehow Dante Scott was bringing it up a lot, which I didn't like because he did it successfully over and over again, but by fundamentals wise, he did it terribly. He was dribbling straight up the sideline every time that he did it, which is just asking for a corner trap as you get through half court. Somehow he was able to just freight train his way through it. It just never became a problem. But then they also brought Eric back there a lot. Really weird that, to me, if you have a full court press, you want that ridiculously short, shifty, fast point guard to run that. And he was not. They took him out of it completely.
Because he's been careless with the basketball. The speed and the athleticism is all great, but if you can't hold on to the basketball, they're going to bring somebody else in there to bring it up.
When you talk about the energy and the fast pace that these guys had, how much do you, I think John just said it in there. He liked how the fan turnout was better in New York compared to the home court, which they did really turn out. You saw the pictures. They were right along the sidelines, packed in there, and they were making a lot of noise. How much does that mean? And I will get into it with Turg in a few minutes, but how much does that mean for this team that it seems like the fans kind of are embracing it, Danny Manning, and embracing this team all of a sudden and coming out and really showing up?
I mean, a lot of the fans got what they wanted, but yeah, I was pretty impressed with the fan turnout in New York at the Barclays in Brooklyn. Again, boisterous. You could hear them throughout the entire game there. And again, they did show their support for Danny Manning and a team that actually came up and played a very good game.
I'm just interested to see whether it continues at all.
I agree.
I think that
interesting to see the difference away on the road in New York versus home.
To me, I think that was a one-off. I think it's a couple things. I think it's fans that live closer to there that are not spoiled, that don't get to see the teams whenever they want, and whenever it's going. And then it's also the people that at the beginning of the year thought they were going to be the best team in the nation, bought these tickets, and then on top of the tickets, bought hotel rooms and travel and all this non-refundable stuff. Yeah. When you're talking about people that are season ticket holders or buy a game randomly at home, they can just go, I got something better to do. But when you put all that money out up front, you go there.
I 100% agree with you. Goog's got a good point, too. He said it's easy to fill seats when the student section doesn't get seats and not even bother showing up to it. That's something that you've been an advocate for. It's been pissing you off since the start of the year.
Yeah, I mean, you claim 3,000 tickets and 250 you show up. Right. I mean, what's going on?
Unless there's a Len Bias free jersey.
Unless they give you a free jersey.
Exactly.
Congratulations.
But to your point, man, talking about the team, the fans, everybody kind of buying into Danny Manning. I think that became real evident from a team perspective in the post-game celebration. There were videos that the Terps posted of inside the locker room. It wasn't just a happy team. Yeah, you can see it behind us here. It wasn't just a happy team that they won. it was a team happy for their head coach, right? To go through all that he's gone through and have to handle all that he's had to handle with all the, the media and backlash and stuff, because we're going to talk about that too. A lot of coaches out there nationally have been voicing their opinions on the Mark Turgeon situation. Well, Danny Manning's had to take the brunt of that, and he's put up against it, and he comes out there against his first-ranked team and gets a big win.
Well, I think that's one of the things that you, like, when I first saw the celebration, I kind of went, act like you've been here before, like in my head. And then I had to go, shit, this is
bigger than that.
Turg is not the coach here. This is Danny Manning. This is his first win, and it comes against a ranked team. So I get it. At first, my initial gut reaction was like, act like you've been there before. But when you kind of put it all together, it's good for them to celebrate, good for them to get this energy going, and hopefully they can carry that momentum too.
It's got to be a little bit of us versus the world. Like the conversation in this locker room, how could you not go to these kids and be like, look, the fans don't mean anything right now. They're all talking heads just because there's so much negativity. You have to keep their heads out of it. Like on a normal year, I hope it's not the team versus the fans. But at this point, that's kind of the only way to coach us, I would think, is like it's us versus them. Right. And so show them they're wrong. Show them you were good enough to not do that to your coach. I
want to address Goog's comment. He said ranked team away from home, Scott, and I get that. But here's the only thing I'm going to say. The beginning of the season, you were a ranked team.
Yeah.
Ranks also mean nothing. We've said that before. Ranks mean nothing. You beat a team. If you're talking this is a top 10 ranked team, I may be talking a little bit differently, but 20 to 30 or 20 to 25, it goes in and out every single week.
It was bigger than just the win. It was, again, getting the win for Danny Manning in his first big win against a ranked team. Fats Russell and some of these transfers were my first concern through the whole Turgeon debacle, because these are guys that were sold on a potential and the potential to dive deep into a tournament run, and then your head coach up and skips town, right? So I was worried about where the mentality of some of these transfers would be, especially a guy like Fats Russell, who is supposed to be a big integral part of this team moving forward. He had an interesting quote that kind of put that at ease after the game. He said, "We had a lot of meetings, heart-to-heart meetings between each other, and told each other we're going to go through this thing and we're going to stay together and we're going to fight this out. I felt like today was a step in the right direction, and to me that shows you that he's got his head on straight and that the team, not just him, the team is doing it for the right reasons."
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad to hear that quote. It's good. I wasn't as worried about you are with the transfers because they don't have another option. Like, at this point, they have not made it.
They had other options.
They did.
Being sold to them.
Yes, they did, and now they can be disappointed. Tyler Mabry,
that's what I'm saying.
You will. Yeah. But it's not like they can go jump in the portal again because they don't have any more. They haven't.
No, I wasn't worried about a mass exodus. Yeah. I was just worried about the headspace not being right because, again, it's Turgeon selling you on all this stuff. You commit your final year of eligibility or how much ever eligibility you have left to Turgeon and what that image is, and then Turgeon bails on you in 5 games.
But their back's up against the wall. They have to put up or shut up now and show if they want to do this for a living, if they want to play. And, these guys aren't either one of them going to the NBA. But if they want to play in Europe, if they want to play in China, there's huge money, a lot of different markets right now for basketball. So they still have to come out and play. And I wouldn't be shocked the way this is going with the transfer market if we end up in a place where you can just enter the transfer portal and play for another team next week, a year or two from now. But so far, we're not doing that.
Right.
But, I'd worry about the whole team in general. We've talked before. Yes, we know there's going to be a mass exodus. There always is with the coaching change, unless somehow Danny Manning stays and these guys love him, whatever. But Julian Reese, Hakeem Hart, if you could hold on to that, that would be a hell of a big win for the Terp fans. I'm sure there's others that would be nice too, but I'm just not expecting much more than 2 players.
Yeah, so I know I kind of hit it on a little bit earlier, man, talking about some big-name coaches and big-name personalities, really, on social media kind of coming to Mark Turgeon's defense about the way the fan base treated him, which is ultimately why they say he left. It was because of, the treatment that he got from the fan base, which to me is a little soft, in my opinion. But when you look at some of these quotes, you got Dick Vitale, right, who's been around college basketball for longer than I've been alive, right? He said, "I've been around the game as a coach and ESPN hoops analyst for over 6 decades, and I can tell you flat out, Mark Turgeon is a very good coach. Mark deserved better treatment from the fan base. Terrapin Hoops, so sad how they responded to him." Gonzaga head coach Mark Few in a press conference, "Literally, that fan base just made it so miserable that it wasn't worth it anymore. I'm one of those guys. I don't believe a college team should ever be booed. I'm sorry, not at home." Rob Carlin, who's the former post-game host for the Capitals pregame, so he's been around DC and also a Terp alum. I don't think Mark Turgeon quit on his team. Everyone knew it was time. The chorus of coaches blaming fans is ridiculous. He's a grown man in a high-profile job, but he never felt comfortable with this fan base. So that is kind of my feelings on this entire situation. I do think that the fan base running him out of town is way overblown. I don't think ultimately that was the main reason behind him leaving. And if it was, it's a very, very soft move for Turgeon.
So I want to give my take on this just because I don't talk about this stuff a lot. But I think, to me, my opinion, the last one, I agree with you. It sums up. And here's the statement. If you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen.
Yep.
And this is where I respect, to an extent, I'll say to an extent, I respect Mark Turgeon for saying, I can't take the heat, I need to walk away. Okay, fine. But I shouldn't see him at a Georgetown game chirping it up with some of the guys trying to get in there and maybe be a coach somewhere else. If you can't take the heat, stay out of the kitchen. It's not get out of this kitchen, go to the next kitchen, because no matter where you go,
especially Georgetown.
There's gonna be heat, right? You're talking about going to a team that has regularly been in the hunt in March Madness for the past 10 plus years.
Who?
Georgetown.
Oh, no, Georgetown hasn't been relevant in a very long time.
But
years
still,
ago.
my problem with it is it's the DC market.
Yeah.
Like, that's who ate you alive.
It's a very similar fan base.
If you want to change fan bases, go back to Kansas where you came from. That's why we talked about with this coaching search. I want some East Coast person that can handle. We have idiot fans. Don't get me wrong.
Go down with Brian Kelly down south in LSU, dancing up like a fucking fool.
Yeah, where they just care about football. They just let you as long as you win something, it'll be fine. Go down south, sure.
Right.
But you can't be in a team that's ever had any success, especially in the Northeast, and expect to not get angry messages.
Yeah, and what other people are clamoring about on social media is it's very interesting that all of these names and all of these, prominent figures in college basketball, around college basketball, are speaking so vocally about this situation. Some say potentially being paid to do so by maybe Turgeon's agency that runs him to help create a better image for Mark Turgeon as to why he left the program. I don't know if there's any truth to that or not, but I mean,
James, you look like you want to chime in on this.
If there's smoke, there's fire.
For him to be run out because of the fans, they rotate every 2 to 3 years down there anyways, and you're going to get upset because you're not a good coach. You can recruit, but you can't coach is one thing. And for him to all what you said, I respect Dick Vitale, but if fans have the right to boo if you're doing a shitty job. And
yeah,
I grew up watching ACC basketball before football. That's what was more relevant. And this guy comes in here and doesn't think he's going to, be booed. You got bigger things to worry about. I'm glad he's gone. Hopefully the program does better. They can bring someone in and bring this program where it should be.
All right, sum it up for us, Ryan.
Yeah, I just think that these complaints are all off base. Dickie V, I don't really care what his opinion is. I don't know how he's ever been related to him or been exposed to him enough to matter. I think that the complaints about the college team being booed at home is complete garbage because that's exactly what we didn't do.
Right.
No one blamed the players, even with the terrible shooting percentage. We didn't blame the players. The team wasn't booed. Look at the Mike Gundy quote from back in the day.
Right.
Blame me. I'm a man. I'm 40. That's what you're supposed to do as a coach.
Right.
You're supposed to take the bullets. You're supposed to take the daggers. And Turgeon hadn't even been doing that this year, really. He had been deflecting in the interviews after games. So I just don't get it. I'm on record. It was screwed up to be booing him before Len Bias night, before the game
100%.
ever started.
Yeah,
it was
that's
screwed
the
up to
line.
be chanting, fire Turg. But to boo Turg afterwards, not a problem. To complain about Turg between games, not a problem. This is why you get paid $5 million. This is why you're the highest paid state employee in the whole state. The whole state. You're the only guy. You're the one. You get more than Loxley evens. You need to do something. You don't get to just, not be looked at. You're going to take daggers. That's your job. You don't get paid to coach games. You get paid for all the other shit. You get paid for the appearances. You get paid for the fact that you can't go to a restaurant without shaking 100 hands. That's why you get paid. You don't get paid to coach games. You want to get paid to coach games, go be a high school coach. Go
Right.
do that. Go make $6,000, coach your games, and go home.
Yep. Can't say it any better than that. I mean, that's exactly how I feel in the situation as well. But due to time constraints, man, we need to move on. Let's talk a little bit of football now. The football team announced their annual team awards. We're not going to run down the entire list of these because there's just so many awards. There's a lot. But the couple of key ones that I do want to point out.
Special Teams Player of the Year.
No, we're not going with special teams. No award goes to special teams this year.
Special teams if you want a special teams player of the year.
A couple that I do want to point out. The offensive player of the year and the Ray Krause Memorial Award MVP of the year, Talia Tagovailoa. I think a lot of us expected that. I mean, I think the only one that may have challenged him for that, for offensive player of the year, team MVP, may have been Dante Demas if he'd have stayed on his course and not gotten injury. But Talia showed out, had one of the best years as a quarterback for a Terp in a very, very long time.
Great game, and I hope to, or great year, and I hope to see him back next year to do even more.
He'll be back for sure. The other one I wanted to point out, the Jordan McNair Memorial Award, this went to Chig Okonkwo. Now, the McNair Award is given to the player who reflects the spirit of Jordan by showing great professionalism athletically and academically, dedication to his team, strength in the face of immense adversity, as well as courage and conviction to do the right thing. This obviously...
No-brainer.
A no-brainer, man. Chig Okonkwo is the total package, and good luck to Chig on his adventure going to the NFL.
Now, the first thing we had a good luck for was he's still playing in the bowl game, and thank you, Chig. We need that. Show out in the bowl game, get your stuff itself an invite to the Senior Bowl, go show out there, and let's get you into that, like, third-round-ish NFL thing. Let's do it.
And the other one I did want to highlight here, a guy that we had on our show, and again, you talk about a shoe-in for this award, was the Public Service Award. Went to punter Anthony Pecorella. We've been a big fan of Anthony since day one. We've talked about all the work that he does with mental health and everything. Again, the kid just got a good head on his shoulders, going to do big things in life, and this was a shoe-in for that award.
Yeah, he's going to do huge things. Can't say enough about his personality, about his work ethic, about what he has done for this team, and he deserved better from the rest of the special teams this year.
For sure. If you want to see the laundry list of awards that they gave out, you can follow them on social media at Terps Football. You can look them up on their website. They've got all the awards there. We might go in depth with a few more of these when we go on our next episode of Shell and Tell. We'll just see kind of how that plays out. But
some big news broke. I don't think we talked about that, but some big news broke before the show. And I know you guys are going to get into it on the next episode of Shell and Tell, but give the listeners and viewers a little taste of what you guys are going to be talking about, because it's exciting stuff.
Yeah, it is exciting stuff. You know, National Signing Day is tomorrow for football, and there's been a lot of rumors, a lot of connections with the Terps to some big name prospects. We did miss out on one that we had hoped for that was in our backyard at St. Francis. He ends up going to South Carolina. But right before the show, we get a big flip, and a flip that has a lot of ties to this upcoming Pinstripe Bowl, as four-star running back Ramon Brown, who was committed originally to Virginia Tech, flips the script. Going to sign with the Terps tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those DMV hits. We are the top four. When you're talking about local recruiting for College Park, you can't just count Maryland, because College Park's barely in Maryland. It's right outside D.C., you know what I mean? So they're always trying to get these Virginia kids, and it's a big one. I mean, we definitely need a little bit more help at running back. We saw we had McDonald, who was playing great. We think there's going to be good things from Hemby, but you're losing Tayon Fleet Davis, and we saw how deep we needed to get into the running backs this year. We ended up being really a walk-on, was turned into one of our top backs. So it's always good to get them in. Big-time recruit. And he was quickly followed by another recruit that signed, three-star wide receiver Leon Halton, 6'4", 200 pounds. So, that's the receivers I like.
Right.
We'll have to see how that
Big
goes. Took Carlos Carey 4 years to show out for us, so maybe he'll be a little bit faster than that. But this wide receiver core is going to be scary good if everything sticks as is.
Yeah, if Shalik Knott stays in the fold, which it sounds like he is. He posted some stuff on social media. So
be an awful late flip if he's getting out of here.
Yeah, the way we've seen things, though, man, I'm not counting my blessings until he signs.
It is what it is.
Yeah, you never know. McDonald's bag full of money. Here's the thing, though, man. This is going to be could potentially be a very good recruiting class for Loxley. these are just some of the names that we know about right now. A lot of things can change over the next few hours going into tomorrow. So make sure you stay tuned for our next episode of Shell and Tell that we're going to be recording on Thursday, because we're going to dive into all the names that Ahmed's been keeping track of and who signs with us. I'm excited, man. This is always the fun time of year. This is like
Tomorrow I'm going to get in trouble at work.
this is like the NFL draft. You know, we always make a big deal of the NFL draft, and we have our special and all that stuff. This is the equivalent of the NFL draft in a college football kind of way. So
I'll be on my phone all day long.
I was gonna say that's the difference. Is it's
every link.
It's all day versus 3 or 4 hours on TV.
It's like 6 a.m. Like some random dude starts signing, and then by like 8, 9 a.m. it's like, oh my god.
Right. One other award or recognition that I did want to put out there before we move on, and I thought this is big because a lot of people don't know his name, but the tight end coach for the Terps, Mike Miller, was named to the American Football Coaches Association's 35 under 35 Coaches Leadership Institute, the school announced. Now, Miller was part of what helped lead Maryland's charge for 4-star Shalik Knotts that we just mentioned. He was also elevated to the passing game coordinator heading into third season with the program. He is the one that prepared the tight end room to become the staple in the Terps offense this season, which was a big change from what it had been the past couple of years. Chig and, Corey Dyches.
Now we got baby Grunt following up behind him. Let's
both
go.
had a big impacts, and he's also a big influence in the pass game outside of just the tight ends. So that's a prestigious list to be on.
Hopefully
so that's a guy you want to
keep. That man.
I was going to say that's a guy you want to keep
with that new title.
Absolutely, that's a guy you want to keep in the fold moving forward for sure. All right, fellas, it's time for the rundown, and we're going to run down this list, right? I'm going to start. We'll stick with the college football theme. Stay with that, right? I think the award went to the guy that pretty much everybody in this room expected it to go to. Alabama's Bryce Young ends up winning the 2022 Heisman Trophy. This decision was decisive as Young received 2,311 total points. Hutchinson from Michigan, did finish second over Kenny Pickett, the fake slides guy himself, and C.J. Stroud finished third and fourth place, respectively.
So Pickett was third, Stroud was fourth.
Yep.
I guess that was the one thing I was surprised is that so many people had Pickett over Stroud.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Are you sure that that's right? Because I thought the running back finished third from
That's copied and pasted
Michigan
right from
State.
ESPN.
All right. I know the Michigan State running back.
Won't be
Cannot
the
think
first
his
time
name.
ESPN got it
Walker.
wrong.
Yeah, that's true. We talked about Dick Vitale earlier, and I know that Ryan was giving him a lot of shit. And look, here's the deal: the guy's been a college football staple over the past 4 decades, and for the second time in 2 weeks, we see him come back. And get emotional, getting back, under the saddle in the announce table and everything. And credit to the Baylor crowd as they gave him a standing ovation that wound up moving him to tears. This is a guy that he was diagnosed with cancer, and there was thoughts that he'd never come back to college basketball, that he'd never be able to announce again. And here he is, he's back, and he's making a run pretty much everywhere he's going. He's getting, I think there was another game last night that he went to that he was announcing, and again, the crowd giving him a standing ovation. There's no doubting that this guy is a true legend of college basketball, a hero to be able to come back from this and survive cancer, and then go back to doing what he loves.
Always.
And for the most part, overall, a great man. Ryan might not agree coming to Turg's defense.
It's fun to listen to.
Always
Yes.
love
He gets
Dick
an opinion,
Vitale.
but I just don't know why he has one.
And the guy that, he's got to be in his 80s to go through everything
Yeah.
that he's going through this late in life, and, to show the kind of strength that he has to do that.
I hope I have that at his age.
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly. Right. So if you didn't see this game, college basketball, Houston versus Alabama, which is a big game. These are two teams that are in the thick of things in the top 25 in college basketball. Ended in absolute chaos and controversy. If you didn't see this, there was a questionable no call at the end of the game when a putback attempt to win was swatted away. The camera angle's tough to see in this game, whether it should have been goaltending or not.
The ball's coming down. That's the first part.
Yeah, but man, it erupted. Obviously Alabama with the win wanted to get off the court as fast as they possibly can and get away from a potential discussion with the ref. Well, Kelvin Sampson and Houston weren't ready to go anywhere, and they let him know about it. I mean, the players and the coaches went chasing the refs around, throwing chairs, knocking over trash cans. I mean, it was an absolute mess. But the reason I bring this up is because of one guy, and I felt like this guy should get the recognition as he was on social media. One player, one guy that to me just got it, and I have a ton of respect for, Jamal Sheed, stopped on his way off the court to clean up all the trash and mess that his teammates and coaches created behind him, in front of him. Not to mention, this is right after him not really having a great finish to this game, in this game. But at 19 years old, this just shows the kind of class that this kid has. Because I tell you what, at 19 years old, I wouldn't have done this.
You probably would have been upset, walked off the court, and been going about your day.
Absolutely, like it just shows the kind of character that he has, man. To be able to stop and pick up another man's trash.
Especially when your coach is getting emotional like that. It's real easy to get sucked in. But this kid, look for him in the future because he may do something good.
There's social media videos going around of cell cameras that people took of the situation, him stopping and picking up. If you get a chance, you want to see it, go look online.
Moving over to UFC, I know we occasionally bring it up. Well, you know Amanda Nunes, right? We've heard that name before. Champion, women's champion. Well, she got whooped because Juliana Pena, she swore that she was going to knock out and take out the double champion in Amanda Nunes. No one believed her. She went out there and did exactly that. She scored one of the biggest upsets in MMA history. And she submitted Nunes in the second round in their bantamweight fight. Yeah. The finish came at 3 minutes, 26 seconds. Pena hurt Nunes on the feet, took her to the ground, moved to her back, and locked her into that rear naked choke, and that was all she wrote. And you've seen the reactions of some of the guys with the knockouts. Joe Rogan, they were all baffled by this. Yeah. You took out what a lot of people were considering, not Ronda Rousey the greatest. A lot of people consider Amanda Nunes to
Amanda Nunes a mean bitch.
To be the top bitch. Yeah. And look, this chick took her down. This chick was confident. Look to watch her for her next fight. Look for a rematch here too. I think Amanda Nunes is going to want to come back, and it 100%. might be at the next weight division where she holds the other belt.
100% she'll come back, and there will be another match there. So we didn't do Orioles, so we got to talk a little bit of MLB here as we head out. They might be in a lockout right now, but staffing moves are still being made, along with a surprise player move. According to Jake Kaplan on Twitter, the Orioles hired Brendan Forney away from the Astros to be their director of baseball strategy. Now, Forney was the Astros senior manager of player evaluation and economics since 2019, I think, and had worked on their baseball operations department since 2016. A lot of people were saying that this is
He worked a lot with Elias and Sig, yeah.
Yeah, this is a very, very good move for the Orioles front office as they continue to retool things. And, Elias keeps plucking pieces away from Houston and bringing him over here. So I don't know a ton about him, but everything that I'm hearing about him has been good.
It's working. The other thing that made social media headlines this week with the Orioles, as they add 25-year-old right-handed pitcher Tommy Wilson to Bowie in a trade with Seattle, who picked him up from us the same day in the Rule 5 draft. It was for cash consideration. So this guy was drafted by another team, and we basically went to the Seattle Mariners and said,
hey, can we trade for him back?
Can we give you some money back for him? We really like him. The big thing that comes out of this, obviously he's been with the organization. He put out a little tweet too. I don't know if you saw it, thanking the Seattle Mariners for the hours that he was with them. It was a great little move.
Send me that check.
But you know what? Why he made big headlines, a lot of people didn't know this, but because of this trade, because of this whole move, is where this all comes out. And I think you're going to see a lot of people at Bowie, and I bet Bowie, if we got some people that work for Bowie that listen to our show, you guys should capitalize on this, because his father, Wilson's father, Thomas Wilson, not ringing a bell, is it?
No.
How about the name Biff Tannen?
McFly?
Back to the Future. Yeah.
That's funny.
Biff Tannen's his father.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
like a red button-up night, really?
Maybe. Is it Back to the Future night?
I'll have to pull the DeLorean out and we'll go fucking riding around.
Fred's first car was a DeLorean.
It was. That's
oh, man.
All right, Drew, close your ears on this one. Buster Olney's reporting that somehow Justin Verlander's 2-year, $50 million agreement for 2022 and 23 with Houston has been given formal approval by MLB, even at a time when the owners have locked out the players in the ongoing labor battle. I don't know how this was getting through, but MLB and the union have worked through the final details. Somehow that crazy 2-year deal is getting done.
Just shows you where the control is at in the players union.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
Justin Verlander going to be paid for a long time.
No rules. No boundaries. 2 topics. 30 seconds each. It's time for the 2-minute warning.
All right, fellas, it's time for the 2-minute warning. I have not read the questions, so I'm going to let you start on
I'll
this one.
start us.
All
I'll
right.
start us. Ryan's going to read them over there for us.
I'm not reading them because that's poorly written, but I will ask a similar question.
You can ask a similar question. I don't care. Whatever.
All right. So with Urban Meyer, again, getting in trouble down in Jacksonville. All these problems with his assistant coaches, all these problems with his players. How long will the Khan's leash be with all this crap? Will he have his job at the end of the year? And here we go.
It's a bad look if they cut him mid-season. I think they should cut him, but I don't know. The Cons have done some weird shit recently in signing him and allowing him to bring in some of his staff. I just don't see it working out. I see them at the latest, he'll make it till late next year, but that's as far as I would say they're willing to let him go. My leash would be a lot shorter on him. He'd be gone at this point.
This should have never happened to begin with. Urban Meyer does not belong in the NFL. It doesn't belong coaching, period, but that's a whole nother story. It doesn't belong, and it's obvious. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing at the NFL level. But Khan put out a statement, like, talking about his previous head coaches that he's had. He's like, well, I had this guy for 4 years, and I had that guy for 4 years. So does that mean it's okay to keep terrible coaches for 4 years? What the fuck is the deal with that? No, this guy should be gone. He should have never been here, and I think that Khan will get pressured by the media and by the fans, and he'll be gone.
What are your thoughts of the big Pat McAfee deal with FanDuel and the little tip with Portnoy?
Look, I look at this. The deal that he signed is a 4-year extension, $120 million, $30 million a year. It works out. Smart on Pat McAfee to walk away from football when he was set to get a big contract back then.
Right.
But he's walked away, and he's made it for himself. He doesn't have to put in a whole lot of work. And credit to him. The whole thing with Portnoy, suck it up, Portnoy. Somebody got the money from FanDuel, and it wasn't you and Barstool. Sorry, buddy.
I'm not wasting my time or my breath on Portnoy. He's a fucking clown. I can't stand him and never could stand him. I like Barstool, funny enough, and I like some of the writers that they have for Barstool. Cannot stand Portnoy.
Content on Barstool's good.
Anyway, Pat McAfee, can I get a little slice? Can I get a slice? I've been a big fan of yours since day one. He put out this whole thing where he's giving out money to all these different charities and people that have been big supporters of his and helped him get to where he is. And he actually put $1.5 million aside to give out to fans who all you got to do is send him a screenshot of one of the videos that you watched showing support of him from years ago. So I'm going to make sure I do that. I just want to get my little slice of the pie there, Pat. Now, kudos to Pat McAfee, because that deal is going to set the bar for other companies and other podcasts out there.
We'll get more. I want to get more into the
Dave
Portnoy afterwards.
Fred does not speak for Birdland BS aggregate nor
Can't
Shell and
stand
Tell
him.
Industries.
Can't
If you would
stand
like
him.
to hire Shell and Tell to Barstool Sports, Fred has just talked himself into being negotiable. He was a permanent staple in Shell and Tell until he has embarrassed the brand on live podcasting.
Cannot fucking stand him.
Man.
All right, fellas. Good shows. Scott, sign us out, man.
Guys, as always, we appreciate you tuning in with us each and every week. If it wasn't for you fans, we wouldn't have this. We appreciate that everything you guys bring to the table. We love doing this. This is really a hobby for us, if you will. And I know that I've said
Until Portnoy gives us some money.
I say, yeah, we you know, the money that we do make from our sponsors, look, it goes right back into the show. So we don't do this because we're looking to get rich, although we would love to. So if anybody wants to help us get
we
rich,
just like to do
please
it
let us
for free
know.
anyway.
But no, we appreciate you guys tuning in. With it being the holiday season, I want to make sure we thank you. Stay tuned next week for our holiday episode. We'll get some special surprises in store for a lot of you fans, visually and maybe something else along the lines. We'll get into that next week. So stay tuned, share, like, subscribe to everything on all the social media platforms, YouTube, Twitter.
If you're still listening to us at this point, you're a big supporter. Please take 30 seconds out of your day to go on Apple to write a review. Give us whatever star rating you have, because that helps us get found in all the podcast apps out there. It would mean the world to us if you took that 30 seconds.
And some of you guys have asked if you just go to BioLink on bio.link /Birdland BS. There it is on the screen for you. If you go there, you can actually look to see all of our content. You can get links to everything. And for those of you that have asked us about donating, you're welcome to do it there. We appreciate it. Again, it all goes right back to the show. As always, for Fred, Ryan, James, Drew, who's home with a sick kid, hope the little kiddo's doing better,
Yeah, man.
and myself, We'll see you guys next week for the Christmas episode.
Ho, ho, ho.
See ya.
It's time for the after party.
It's last call for alcohol.
Fred's burning bridges we haven't even built yet.
Oh, man, fuck that guy. If you have aspirations of us ever being on Barstool, then your hopes are way higher than ours.
It'd be great, but look, we've heard about business. Look, some of his takes I think are great.
I think we do a great job. We are not Barstool
some
material.
of the things that, well, I mean, some of the comments that we get into might be Barstool-esque. But no, look, it's you either like him or hate him. It's simple as that.
I love the guy.
He is such a me guy. I cannot fucking stand it.
For $30 million a year, Kaylee will let me get a little dirtier for Barstool standards.
Oh man. Well, I know that we
Your
kind
last name's not
of combed through some of this stuff in the after hours, or in the 2-minute warning. I'm curious to get your guys' take on the whole Urban Meyer situation down there in Jacksonville. What are your leashes on Urban Meyer in Jacksonville?
I think that he was into coaching for all the wrong reasons. He's figuring out that the NFL doesn't have those things. You know, there's the Jaguars cheerleaders aren't grabbing on his crotch like all the co-eds were at Ohio State. Like it's just not it. You're not the god. Like the players are the god. So get over it and move on.
James?
I never liked the guy. I don't even know how he got into the NFL. I guess they were desperate. They thought they could do something with Trevor Lawrence.
He's gonna have a heart attack anyway. He always does.
It's a fake heart attack. He get paid.
Retires medically over and over again.
But the guy's a clown, and that whole organization down there is a clown too for hiring him. So I could care less.
Goog says if it was him, he would have been gone by now if he was the owner.
So here's the thing. This is what I was talking about earlier. In an interview with ESPN, he talked about being disappointed and not being happy, obviously, with the Jaguars being at 2-11, but he doesn't want to make a rash decision. He wants to do the right thing for the team. I want to do the right thing for the city. That, to me, is way more important than just acting helter-skelter on emotion. Here's his thing, though. This is what I was talking about. Gus Bradley was here 4 years. Doug Marrone was here 4 years. It was wins and losses, and this is a little bit different. But, I'm going to reflect on all of that and do what's right for the city and the team. What the fuck does either one of them having to be here for 4 years have to do with anything?
This is not college football. In college football, you have to give them time to get your recruits in. You have to give them time to be your product. But in the NFL, it's not how this works.
Right.
That's how any of this works.
As a smart business owner, you cut your losses. You know you made a poor decision. Like, just fucking fix it. And it's not doing anything. The players aren't buying into it anymore. Listen, hold on. The other side of this is you just took a first-round pick on supposedly the next Peyton Manning and Trevor Lawrence. You can't fuck that up. And you can't have somebody in place there, in charge there, that's going to fuck that up. You have to bring the right mentor, the right coach in there. Urban Meyer was never it, and it should have never happened.
Things are going really poorly in Clemson. There might be somebody that knows how to work that quarterback.
I think that's one of the things that you got.
There's that college to NFL thing again.
Right.
Doesn't mean it's going to work.
The problem with him is, that he's losing control, right? When you talk about it, one of the things that we talked about him stepping in it, to be specific for those that don't know, he went through and there was rumors coming out, leaks coming out supposedly that he got into it with Marcus Smith, and they were in a screaming match. And then there was another thing where he apparently was talking to somebody and called his entire coaching staff a bunch of losers that kind of basically don't know what they're doing. So there's a lot that he's stepping in it. Well, then he comes
Another
out.
me guy. Pass the blame. I'm a winner. You're a loser.
Then he comes out and he's like, "Oh, none of that's true." And whoever's is quote leaking it, if they're leaking it, well then they're fired on the spot
in minutes.
In minutes, yeah. Why do you need to threaten somebody with their job if it's not a leak?
Yeah,
it's a leak. It clearly is a leak. Everybody knows it's a leak. Just acknowledge it, dude.
Go ahead, James.
Real quick, to get back to last week's 2-minute warning. Tonight, Steph Curry made the most 3-pointers in history tonight. He surpassed.
That was from the free throw line.
He surpassed Ray Allen. He has 2,974. So some stats. He says he also has the most 3-pointers in a single season, 402. The playoffs, 470. The finals, 121. A final game, he had 9. A counter month, 96. And 22 games with 10-plus 3-pointers. No other player has more than 5.
Yeah, there's no doubt that Stephen Curry, and this was actually one of the. He's an absolute ridiculous shooter of the basketball.
He's a game changer, and the way that basketball played now, he's the best shooter of all time.
So to that point, one of the debates that I saw on one of the shows, they were talking about who is actually more influential and more of this generation's staple NBA player. Is it LeBron or Stephen Curry? What would be your take on that?
I think it's Curry. Curry reached out to he's more of a basketball kids type of guy compared to LeBron. He brings too much politics and bullshit and not put his basketball to his knowledge of the thing. Like LeBron, when he first came in, he was like, this guy is like unbelievable. The next Jordan, sold tickets. Now it's just like, I can't wait till he get the fuck out compared to Jordan. I was like, wanted him to be there every day. And every time you turn on the TV and the Bulls were playing, he played. Kids that want to watch LeBron, he turned on TV, he's on the bench.
Yeah. I disagree with you. I think what LeBron brings in total package on the court, and he's still at whatever he is, 36, 37 years old, putting up absolutely absurd numbers. Not just points. Have you seen the numbers that he's put up over the last couple of games, like the last 10 games? There was a photo.
I don't think he played 10 straight games.
Hold on. His last 10 games that he's played. I can't find it right now. They're absolutely absurd. But anyway, what he's done in the community with the school and everything that he has in Ohio and all the money that he gives back, he's influential in entertainment business, in the movies and all that stuff, obviously with the Space Jam kind of following along the Michael Jordan path. The championships that he's won in multiple cities, going back and winning one in his home city in Cleveland, which Cleveland would have never won an NBA title without a LeBron James. Listen, I'm not the biggest LeBron James fan, but I'm also a realist. I think LeBron James is still and always will be this generation's Michael Jordan.
Yes, and I think the as much as I look at it, and I personally think that Michael, when you look at the total package, to me, Michael was better. I get the argument that LeBron is better because he was able to go and do it in multiple places with multiple different guys versus doing it with the same core group of guys over and over and over again. But that's also the thing, is that same core group of guys, all those guys have to be healthy. They have to be in rhythm and stay in rhythm. It's impressive both ways. It's a different type of game nowadays.
It's less contact.
I was going to say the flopping and the fouls that happen are a little bit.
You know how many games Michael Jordan missed out of his whole career?
Oh, I know it was low. It was low. I know.
Low?
It's a different era.
One game.
It's a different era with all these analytics and resting and all that bullshit. That's not a LeBron thing. That's just an era thing. And
that's what I'm saying. Like, it's different, and I think to your point, it's a different era. It's an
era where the players run the game compared to coaches.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing with that. But
Stephen Curry's missed a lot of games too.
So here's the thing I'm going to tell you, James, is you can't then
Stephen
turn.
Curry's one that plays every night.
He's missed a lot of games.
He's missed several games.
Yeah, because he had injury, but I'm talking about when he's healthy, he's on the court. He ain't resting.
Well, he's also stupid at times and throws his mouth guard at refs.
Here's the numbers, just to put this in perspective. Now, this is, just so you know, points, rebounds, assists. Last 8 games, LeBron, 30-11-10, triple-double. 33-5-6, 20-10-11, triple-double. 34-5, 23-11-6, 33-5-9, 37-11. 39-5 and 6.
30 points a game.
37 years old.
Yeah.
Like, he is still an absolute
but can you tell
animal.
Me the games that he played them against?
No, I think the stat doesn't show that. It doesn't matter.
Most teams are garbage in the West.
It doesn't matter. He is this generation's Michael Jordan, in my opinion. Do you have a take on either one of those guys? LeBron James?
They're both great. I mean, LeBron James is the greatest talent I've ever seen. Stephen Curry, what his claim is that he he changed the game. Like every kid wants to grow up to be Steph Curry because every kid
College basketball changed their game around him.
Every kid can grow up to be Steph Curry. Not every kid can grow up to be LeBron James.
Yeah, you don't have
to
those
be
physical...
physically gifted to become LeBron James. If you want to shoot 40-foot jumpers at a 60% clip, you'll make it to the league. I don't care what you look like.
Right.
So, I mean, it's completely changed everything, and that's what his claim is. But as far as being the NBA, like the talent, it's LeBron hands down for me.
Well, and to that point, like, you know, Eddie, the whole mentality that anybody can make it. I know we put it in our group chat, but credit to that kid that, you know, I think Portnoy said he was trying to sign him or whatever, the guy that you didn't like. But the kid that was the bigger, chunkier guy that fell down, but then popped off a three.
Chunky's a real nice way to describe that.
There was a lot moving
I'm
around.
fatter than Chunky.
Yeah, if he's chunky, then I'm thin.
Yeah.
But look, no, but
That's an awful lot of ass crack on that floor.
And now we got stopped. Now we got corrected. Jeez. All right, take it off before we get kicked off air. No, but
I wanna be like Mike.
If I could be like Mike.
LeBron don't have that.
Look,
LeBron has
again,
a lot of other things.
it's changed. Do I get your take on the fact that LeBron?
Well,
All right. Let me put it this way, because this might go to your favor. Do the two of you agree that LeBron does flop and whine a lot?
Yeah.
For a top tier guy. Mm-hmm. We could all agree that wasn't Michael's game. Michael played a physical game.
No, here's the argument, though. That wasn't the game.
No,
refs didn't
totally
call.
different.
Refs didn't give
And
you
that's
that.
what my point was.
So he adjusted to the game and took the free point.
And so that's where the other side of it that I was going with is you can't fault LeBron for playing the game the way that it's played, because Jordan was physical, and there were guys that said, hey, Jordan's fouling all fucking day long, and it's not being called because it's Jordan.
And he would have fouled out in today's game.
Right.
Because it's
And
called
that's-
softer.
And so and I agree with you. That goes
But
to
he
your
would
point, but it
change
also
the
goes in the
counter,
opposite
He
point.
would change his game.
He
was
would.
so
Yeah,
good,
he
he would
would've.
change his game. But the thing
He
is,
would change his game, but does he
when
score as many
LeBron
points?
went to L.A., it wasn't like, hey, I want to be a Laker. It was, what can I do to put my career ahead of everything else?
Yeah, it's a money decision.
The guy's a billionaire, and of course he has to spread his money out and do this and do that. Like, I love what he did to Ohio. Don't get me wrong. That's great. Do that shit after your NBA career. Like, nowadays they want to be all this and not be a basketball player, compared to back then it was
Demaryius Thomas just died at 33.
First.
If you can make money today, make it today. There's nothing's promised tomorrow.
And as athletes, you're independent contractors, essentially, man. Like, these guys can have business ventures in multiple facets. Like, I don't fault him for doing it. He's got more opportunity than Michael Jordan had back
I will
there.
say Space Jam
Michael
sucked.
Jordan, I didn't watch it. Michael Jordan built Nike's brand. Michael Jordan and Bo Jackson.
Nike was nothing before Jordan.
Is big on what built Nike's brand for them, or built it bigger than what it was. So Michael Jordan took advantage of the same type of things. He just, again, LeBron has more access to things because it's a different world that we live in than what we did.
It is. And he's more of, how much money can I make compared to my basketball?
But
come on.
I just read off these stats that he's done in the last games. What are you talking about? He's one of the most.
Jordan would destroy that right now. If Jordan was in the league right now, you wouldn't be. He would have triple doubles every night. He would average 50 points.
You would have
a
said
night.
that Jordan wasn't about money. Jordan lost all his money because all he wanted was
didn't
money.
lose his
He was
money.
a gambler.
He didn't lose his money.
gambled
You're talking
away.
about Charles Barkley.
All right,
Michael Jordan
so
had plenty
It's the
of
debate
money.
that will go on forever.
So
There's
here's
never a right or
here's
wrong
the
in this.
here's the thing that goes to the whole thing. And yes, he is scoring the points and he's getting paid. But where does that leave the Lakers? Last in the West.
Yeah, because they're all 40 and over.
Right, and that's my point. He went
Except for
there.
Anthony
He went
Davis,
there
who
to build
plays like
this.
he's 40.
He went there to build this super team, and people are coming to see it because it's the thing we all wanted to see 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This team would
I don't
have
think-
been, so 7 years ago. I'll even say 5 years ago. 5 years ago, this team could go on a Bulls run and be a dynasty type team.
I don't think anybody with a half a brain expected this team to run away with the Western Conference.
Some
because,
people
again,
out there did.
Well, I don't know what the fuck.
If you're the Lakers, that's what you were trying to do.
Well, you know who runs his team.
You're
It's
either
the
doing that or
Lakers.
you're putting it in
The
seats, putting asses
Lakers,
in
all the
seats.
players that they have is all because of LeBron James. Yeah, he goes and sits down and say, "Hey, I want this guy. I want my boy Carmelo over here. I want this guy. I want Westbrook."
Well, James, but
so here's
if
the only
you're
thing.
ever in a place to give us all multi-million-dollar contracts, I hope you do the same thing.
But here's the thing with that.
Now they're
That's
stopping
part.
Westbrook.
Magic Johnson didn't want to build one of these type of teams. That's why Magic Johnson stepped away.
No,
He's still in
LeBron
ownership.
pushed them out.
LeBron pushed him out because he and the GM wanted all these guys there because asses in seats makes them more money. Period. Because remember, the NBA is a shareholder. They get a portion of the shares. So the more you promote and the more people that are going to games, the more money all those guys are making. It's simple as that.
I got a 2-minute Maryland question before we get out of here because I just read something. So, Fred, I just read on Ahmed's site that Raymond Brown never told the Terps coaching staff he was coming. He just put out the announcement video of the flip, which is cool, but I'm a Terp fan that's been disappointed over again. Does that make you a little nervous that this could be like a break the internet type situation where he
Didn't somebody do that last year?
commits and then decides to not do something? There's
there was-
nothing on Ahmed's
There
site
was
makes
somebody
it not
last
seem
year
like
that
he's
came
out
out and
there.
said they were going to.
there was like a no-name prospect that was trying to say.
No,
like,
it was a big time. You know the one with the video that went to space, the camera. So back in the day, what I'm thinking of, there was a 4-star running back that committed on signing day to the Terps, a live video that they had never spoken to, but he ended up not academically.
No, there was
qualifying,
somebody-
so
there was
he-
somebody last year.
There was somebody who announced a commitment, and everybody was like, "I don't even know who the fuck this guy is." Remember? He announced like a commitment. I don't know if it was to. Can't remember if it was to Maryland or if it was to another college. But then all the coaches were like, "Who the fuck is this kid?" But he was doing it because like his dad was a former.
It was like clickbait or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh man, I don't remember. I think that's what you're going with. That does make me nervous. I mean, this is a high-profile prospect, and the fact that the coaches weren't counting on this, I figured that this was the whole thing from Ely and all the Terps, the Loxley fucking closing in that they knew.
The whole story that I'm reading here is it's a less scary than what you're saying. So they had met with him already. They were still actively recruiting him. There was a phone call scheduled for this afternoon with him and his family for like the last push of recruiting before National Signing Day. But the coaches and players were at practice for the bowl game, got out of practice and saw the commitment video prior to this phone call that was scheduled. So they never
They
got
made the phone call
communication.
easier.
Yeah, so the phone call ended up being like, "So glad to have you, can't wait till you're on board," instead of "really hope you come with us." You know what I mean? It was a
Right.
party instead of a sales pitch. So
Maybe he just wanted the notoriety of being the first one to get out there with the announcement versus somebody else leaking it before.
because he certainly did that. Because as early as yesterday, there was pretty much anyone that reports was not expecting this.
Interesting.
Cool.
Well, we'll find out more. Stay tuned because we're going to come out with another episode of Shell and Tell. We're recording Thursday night. Should be out late Thursday night or early Friday. We'll see you guys next week here, Tuesday, 7:30. Bring your Christmas outfit, your best onesie, your best ugly sweater, whatever. Drink some eggnog. We'll have fun.
Make sure it's not green.
Yeah, that's right.